voices.
Right, we are live. We have no viewers. I'm going to make a quick run to the technical room to find out if that
Actually, he's working.
was us coming from there. But we are live.
We are live.
We are live.
100% definitely live. We are streaming live as we speak.
Well, we just entertain you. Well, in a series of off-scripted comedy moments led by Talbot. Talbot, over to you.
Yep.
Come on! Tell us all your best jokes. Well, at the moment, all that's happening, guys, is that we've been testing this thoroughly, and everything works in testing. And then, of course, when you press the big red button to say go live, then problems are happening. Unfortunately, that's just part of the nature of, at the moment, it seems for us for Cortex, although there is a lot of effort gone into making sure this does work. Gremlins.
The little blue people.
Gremlins blue.
So all
Is that
okay?
Smurfs?
Good. Good.
Well, it looks like it. So basically, what I want to have a look at is the actual channel and see if it's live. And it is live.
Perfect.
Great.
It's live. And it is live. And I can be heard.
Great.
And I can be heard.
Oh, it's a strange echoey noise. We're going like in a forever, a Mobius loop. Are we in a Mobius loop? It's a serious
Right.
Can you turn the sound off? Can you mute it? Can you turn the sound off?
That's what happened last time.
Possibly, yeah.
We're just reverbing on top of each other.
Well, whoever's watching this, we're having fun, aren't we?
It's different.
'Cause it
No one else is bringing this product to it.
doesn't get better than this. There we are.
This
Right.
is Dad Does Twitch.
This is why we're not allowed on it.
It's like get off.
No, hopefully that won't be doing that now. I wonder if that's what happened the first time. I wonder if that it was linking to the four monitors and it was gone live upstairs.
No idea.
Interesting, because that's why that'll explain why I couldn't find the any errors. Well, our technical team.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Right.
Okay, so welcome to week 2 of the Cortex group. Promise we will get better at the technical side of things. Can't promise anything with.
Speak for yourself. We're fantastic. Netflix, if you're watching, we're available. Mate. You know, he's not. HP, he's not available.
There's a reason that I'm not supposed to be on camera. Right, okay, so last week we found our heroes, our anti-heroes. Ulmakor and Caradak had travelled from the enclave in the Barren Hills. They had gone southwest and had arrived at Reikdorf. And I think, if we remember correctly, you were with King Bjorn in the Great Hall as the doors were closed. And an old warrior, a veteran, someone that you know, had just entered. Caradak was outside sitting with the Drago and a couple of sort of personal bodyguards.
Hearing voices again.
There's a voice going up upstairs in the technical room.
In the technical room, yeah.
We may just have to hold on 1 second for our technician just to check so that we don't spend this next. Bear with us, guys. It's not ideal for us. We're trying to get in the moment and the muse. But there's.
Okay.
And here's a commercial break.
or not. Here's Talbot.
Where else could it possibly be?
Strange.
Yeah, getting all sorts of. As we said before, this is why dads shouldn't be allowed to do Twitch, because it's clearly not within our technical skill set.
Not meant for dads.
It's not meant for us at all. We're just waiting for our top IT technician to hurl something down the stairs in a blizzard of epithets and possible abusive language. I don't know. Oh, is he coming? Yeah.
Well, everything's muted upstairs
Right.
in the sound room.
It's muted, but we can hear it.
Yeah.
Excellent. I'm glad it's muted.
So we'll try again.
Right. Anyways, set the scene.
It might be coincidence.
I suppose not.
No, that's weird because I can hear it now. Just as you said, it's muted. We can hear it.
I can't find out where that audio is coming from.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Well, we've got one viewer, whoever it is. If you could let me know, is our audio coming across all right? Can you hear us? I know he never talks.
No.
Yep.
There's a lot of visuals though.
Let us know.
We're just doing some for the umpteenth time. We're just doing some checks. We'll get going. Don't worry.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So audio so far is okay. So
Cool.
give us a shout if it suddenly goes wrong.
Yep.
Right. Okay.
Thank you.
Let's go for it.
Let's go for it. That's it.
Thank you for the feedback. Right. So ultimately, so we're at the Great Hall of Reikdorf. You're in with King Bjorn. Queen Griselda has headed out back, heavily pregnant. You're out front with Erstat, Drago, the Zakonik. The doors have just closed. Previously, when you arrived at the Reikdorf, you had found out that the portent feast had been called, and that would be this evening. That would be obviously presided over by the Zakonik. And that will be like that. Literally, will be this evening. So ultimately, we're at the hall. The doors are closed. You're inside with King Bjorn, and you see Alvar, the old warrior, who you spent 5 years with. You know he's got a connection with your past and with Godric. And yeah, so he's he sort of strolls in. You can see he seems a little bit distracted. He's looking over his shoulder as the doors close. He's got a wistful look about his face almost. A little bit. There's like a tiredness about his eyes, but there's also a sadness. But
There's people telling me that it's not on the. Go on, carry on.
He looks. He smiles, and it does reach his eyes as he sees you. Young Ulmakor.
Oh, Alvar, it has been so long, too long. How are you doing?
Another day, another creak in the bones.
Yeah,
but, I can't complain.
You're carrying yourself well, though. What's been happening? What have you been up to?
Just trying to enjoy myself. Bjorn here thinks that it would be a good idea for me to relax a little bit on the waves, and he wants me to start working on one of the fishing vessels, but because apparently, if left to my own devices, I'm a little bit mischievous.
Right. You many things in my mind, Alvar. I don't necessarily think a seaman or a fisherman really springs to mind. Not necessarily someone I had you pigeonholed for, but I'm sure if anyone could pull it off, it'd be you. But I think Bjorn here, I think maybe it was pulling your leg. Bjorn, you're not serious, are you, Bjorn? You don't want him to go to sea, do you?
Well, you see, I find myself thinking that if he's out there...
He's not here.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I get that.
One of the servants walks over and gives Alvar a drink as you sit at the main warrior's table in the Great Hall. There's that sort of moment of calmness as everybody takes a good swallow of their respective ale. Outside, you can hear the sounds of the village, the town, moving to and fro as you guys basically just chat about what you've been up to in the last 5 years, within reason, obviously.
Yeah.
You know that one of the topics of interest to yourself is the work that's being done in Reikdorf, the walls, the design around it. Never mind the fact that the Great Hall has obviously gone through a massive change. But outside, Erstat, he's obviously a little bit he's put out, to put it bluntly, he's angered. You can sense that, you can see that about him. He's got a small knife which he's picking at his nails, which seem to be remarkably dirty for a Zakonik, in your mind, especially one living in such a town. You see the golden rings with the precious stones on each finger, pudgy finger, and the oil, the pig fat still seems to drip. You can smell them from here. That sickly sweet smell of perfume, normally scented for women, and that sort of thing, but it seems to be trying to mask the pig fat and the unhealthy smell that comes from basically bad hygiene. It is literally glaring at you. At this point, you become aware as he's staring at you, viciously attacking the dirt under his nails. VakTare,
Yes, Semnathai.
are you the one that always travels with Ulmakor?
That would be correct.
Why are you here? Was it
It's
and
because
not others?
it's as you say, Master Semnathai. I always travel with Master Ulmakor.
But no other VakTare?
He is free to make his own choice, Master Semnathai.
It seems strange just to have one. These are dangerous times. The forests around these parts are always full of warring tribes and orcs and other darkling things. One VakTare just doesn't seem to be enough.
You, Semnathai, speak for the gods. You know best.
The gods speak through us, we don't speak for them. Enough. You bore me. He just turns and looks back into the crowd as the crowd goes backwards and forwards. You can see that in itself, the Zakonik has attracted quite a lot of attention from those passing by. You get that sort of look of, it's a different fear, basically because obviously the Zakonik or the Semnathai are known to make a decision in order, but it's the VakTare that will generally make sure it happens. But there's no voice, you can't hear anything from inside the Great Hall. Meanwhile, in the Great Hall, the conversation has got around to the fortifications that Reikdorf is undergoing. Basically, this is King Bjorn. Because Reikdorf has increased itself, it has become quite a trade area for the Reich basin, the Reichland basin. My concern is that we will attract unwanted attention. The river, it's quite easy for the tribes, for potential enemies to come and go quite quickly. We're not worrying about the land, the forest slowing it down in our scouts. And as we grow in power, I believe that why take a chance? We have good friends now in the Endels and the Burgundians, even the Teutons. The Teutons not so much. They seem to be believing that they're more touched, that they're more protected by the gods, that Tal himself has chosen them. And though the Teutons obviously swear a stronger fealty to Ulrich than the rest of us, believing us all to be lesser, they're having a little bit more problem with the Thuringians at this moment. So ultimately it's just taking a chance, taking advantage now. Why build a fortification?
After the fact. I understand that, King Bjorn. But there's been no... This is just a... You been cautious? Or has there been increased activity?
I hear word that the Jutons and to the north are looking to move south towards the Endel lines. The Endels have come to us and asked us for help if needed. Apart from that, just the usual. There's always border disputes. It's just part and parcel. It's being the followers of Ulrich, really. You see each other, you'll push, and if there's give, you'll push further, and if it pushes back, you stop. We're a warlike people, but it has been quite calm in the south where we are.
And profitable, judging by how fast you've expanded.
Well,
and,
that's the other thing.
And the level that you've expanded to. I see that, I'd hate to say opulence, although one of your advisors seems to have caught the opulence bug quite heavily, and is doing very well for himself. But yeah, trade must be very good. Is that trade being spread amongst all the neighbouring tribes, or is it
those that have access to the Reich? Yeah, they all see it as a neutral area. I'm starting to be able to actually get them to understand that I want the best for all of our peoples, not just the Unberogen. For us to move forward, we need to come together. There are far too many enemies around us. The beastmen and the orcs still walk the basin.
Yes, I mean,
large numbers.
I'm aware of that. I mean, don't forget that the Semnathai are here to provide a guiding hand and advice from the gods. We obviously seek to protect all mankind. We have no favours amongst any of the tribes, and we seek to make sure that any influence that is detrimental to any or all tribes will be identified. So be assured that the Seventh Eye are still here and are still working in the background. Not always in the foreground, not always obviously, but we are looking to make sure that any of the enemies of man that would seek to bring any one or all tribes down are identified and brought to heel. That is what the Seventh Eye do.
Well, perhaps the council will one day rule that the tribes should come together and vanquish the green skin from the lands of man once and for all. The beastmen is a problem for another day. Perhaps the green skin, in my mind, are the biggest threat, but we're not strong enough individually. We need to perhaps speak with the Visok and ask if there can be a decision to bring the tribes together to vanquish the greenskins once and for all.
I'm sure, although it has not come up in a direct conversation between myself, certainly, and the Visok. The Visok, again, we look for the portents from the gods. We consult with all the gods. The gods speak through the Visok and all the Seventh Eye. When the time is right, I am certain that the Visok will bring forth a plan that works for all the tribes. We would always counsel that any one individual tribe or individual leader not be too hasty. This would need to be coordinated, and the Seventh Eye are perfectly positioned to make sure that we act in accordance with the gods' wishes, and we act in a concerted manner that benefits not only the tribes but also the gods' wishes.
Well, enough for the political talk. That was our threat. You know, I know that you'll go back with that information. I've asked repeatedly Erstat to send word to the Enclave. I always suspect that he's too much of a coward.
Yeah, I can't speak for Erstat. I don't actually know. I'm not on the receiving end of any of his messages, and that is right and proper. Any messages that would be directed back by Zakonik, as I am well aware, would go back to the Visok, and then is disseminated by the Visok amongst the higher echelons of the Seventh Eye, as and when required, as and well he sees fit for the need under the gods' tutelage for a wider audience to provide guidance. The Visok is much more closely aligned to the wishes of the gods than any individual below him. So I can't speak to say whether the Zakonik, the nature of the requests or information he has passed on, it's not my place. And I am keen to catch up with the Zakonik during my stay here to talk shop and boring things that probably don't need to know anything about King Bjorn, and find out how things are going from his mind, and how well he seems to be doing with the increase in trade and increase in good fortune that has blessed your lands and your people.
Yes, good Erstat has taken a strong hand in our trade agreements. And he's always to be found down near the docks as the tribe leaders come in and the various merchants make their wares available to Reikdorf, and from the furs coming in from the north, weapons from the east. He's always there to make sure that everything is fair.
Yes.
As is the word of, because let's be honest, there's very little involved for Ulrich in Reikdorf, except when we decide to don our armour, carry our blades and go to war. Ronald, on the other hand, seems to be taking a very much a decent interest in us, I think.
Well, all the gods have an interest in man, depending on which one's gaze is on us, depends on what favour is that's curried. I will speak to Erstat. I am keen to find out his mind on various matters, one of which will be the increase in, as I say, good fortune that has blessed Reikdorf.
Well, in which case, it's been good to catch up with you. I must now prepare for this evening. Myself and Alvar have got some work to be done in and around the town. Obviously, the Great Hall is yours to use as you see fit, and your man,
Most kind.
the VakTare that you've brought with you, you will both be welcome here. It's up to you, obviously, if you want the VakTare to be housed in the Great Hall, or if you want them in the barracks. We'll find him a place in town.
I would like to, if possible, before the meeting tonight, to stretch my legs a bit around this town that I have not seen in many years, and which aspects of I don't recognise. In that regard, I'll probably have the VakTare. It's a good chance for him to be guided around the city, and we will be back here. We can house him. I'll have him close. Just because at some point I may have to leave earlier than perhaps I would be aware, and it'd be good to be able to just go as and when required.
Okay, as you see fit. Well, good to see you all. See you this evening.
As you want.
He gets up and him and Alvar disappear around an archway to the side of the thrones into the back of the Great Hall, leaving you in the main table area in the side, the well lit Great Hall.
Yep. All right. I'm gonna. Is there anyone around, or is it just
No,
me?
you will. There's some serving girls.
Right. There's odd servants.
Or whatever, men, women.
Yeah. Servants.
Servants, yes.
Yeah. Well, I'll get up and I mean, the audience is over with. I'll just have a bit of a sniff around the hall, just to have a look and see how things have changed in the intervening years since I've been here. See if there's anything of interest that strikes my eye, or whether it's just a general upgrading of everything. Everything.
Stone interior with an outside timber, massive cross beams. Iron has been wrought into the structure to support it, and not just rope and tie. Like I say, there's wrought iron chandeliers, banners, lots of candles, main cooking pit in the centre of the tables around. It's very much a hall of it is showing power, showing that there's an increase in finances. But it is literally just a visual impact of the power of Reikdorf and King Bjorn.
How long have roughly we got before this festivities tonight?
Several hours. The portent itself, it'll end up coming through the streets. You can't miss it when it starts. The bells will toll and people will shout out, and there's just an air of festivity that'll come on. But it's generally, it'll start off with nightfall, which will then have a feast. There'll be alcohol, mead and ale, and then it'll finish off with Urstadt, reading the entrails of a hare.
Right. Okay. Well, I think I'll go to where the main door is to see if I can find Caradak and see where he is. So I'll go there and open it up.
Yep. You open the door. Caradak is starting to full attention. Right in front of the doors, you see the Zakonik, Urstadt, Drago sitting to the left, and a number of the private guard of King Bjorn to the right hand side, playing dice and lounging and being relaxed as soldiers are.
Right.
They are obviously, if talked to directly by either yourself or Urstadt, they will obviously respond quickly. But at this point in time, you can see that they've got that sort of air of comfortable. This is our Zakonik, and he's obviously not like a lot of Zakoniks will demand the same sort of level of respect as the king that they're standing beside. He's obviously not. He hasn't got that sort of level of authority about him.
Or he doesn't stand on ceremony, or he's just not commanding that authority?
He's not commanding that authority.
Right, okay. Interesting.
His mind and intentions, obviously, by just simply looking at him physically, goes in a different direction.
Right, okay. So, they notice me?
Absolutely. Yes.
Oh, right, okay.
They do, the turn and come to attention.
Right. No, I'm talking about
alert.
Not the guards, Caradak
Yes.
and
Well,
Urstadt.
these are two big double doors that come out.
Right, okay, fair enough, yeah.
The creaking of heavy timbers as you pull them out.
Urstadt, good that you're still here. Caradak, perhaps we can have a quick chat in the main hall. It seems quiet in here, in there, I should say. King Bjorn has made his exits for other business. We should probably take this time to have a chat before the portent tonight. And I beckon them to both come in.
Okay, yeah. Go walk in. He walks ahead of you,
Right.
even if you weren't going to.
No, I'll allow the 75 to walk on.
Yep.
And then I'll follow behind.
Close the doors. Let's.
And close the door.
Yeah.
Let me just tell you, he says as he fills another goblet and takes a drink. Let me just start off by saying it's great to have you here. As you can see, there's been many changes, but the king's a difficult man, and many things to discuss, obviously. And it's always a pleasure to have one of the council.
Yes, things have changed considerably since I was last here. I personally have never found King Bjorn to be difficult. He can be quite forthright, and he can opinionate is too strong, but he certainly likes to make you sure you or aware of his will, but I've always found that that's a good trait in a king, because it's better to know what he's thinking than to assume what he's thinking. So, Erstad, what's been going on? Obviously, I can see that trade is doing the city and other people very well. I'll be looking at his clear opulence at this stage. What else has been going on? What else have you to report?
Well, there's been quite a lot of visits from the Andals and the Burgundians. The king is making quite a strong case for combining the tribes in friendship. Calling the other kings his sword brothers, so that they can come to each other's aid. Obviously, I've done my best.
What common purpose is he driving to try and unite the tribes?
Simply just their safety against the orc threat, as well as that all tribes will benefit if they all come together to trade freely.
And has there been an increase in orc activity or denizens of the forest to suddenly bring this to the fore?
There might have been.
Might have been. Are you not privy to these questions? Are you not?
I can't be everywhere. Obviously, they can have their warrior lodge meetings about.
Do you not attend the king on a regular basis?
Of course, yeah, I'm there for his advice. But I've, with it being a large trade centre, I've got to make sure that that it goes smoothly.
Who else or whom else is King Bjorn taking counsel from, if not his Zakonik? Who has his ear more than yourself?
Well, nobody. But I can't be, if he's having a meeting with. I have to have my attention elsewhere sometimes.
Strikes me that that's the primary focus of the Zakonik, is to be here, to be the eyes and ears of the Visok at all times. The Visok is not interested in a great deal in any way in the amount of furs, the amount of jewels, the amount of weaponry that may be coming through the ports. Instead, maybe he's more interested in the thoughts of the king, the thoughts of other kings that may be visiting. Perhaps it would be better to spend more time being the counsellor of the king and less time being his chancellor.
You'd be surprised at what you hear down on the docks and on the main merchant street.
Surprise me. What have you heard?
Well, there's a lot of those Thuringians coming through, and of course we all know that's not a good sign. If King Bjorn were to reach out and successfully, for example, bring together a friendship with King Otwin, well, that would be something that the Visok would be interested in.
And do you think the Visok would be more interested to hear it from the ears of the king, or from his lips through his representative here, instead, than perhaps chatter on the docks amongst stevedores and warriors passing through? It strikes me that perhaps, Erstead, you would be advised to spend a bit more time here in the Great Hall with the king and a little less time down on the docks. Things have changed since I was Visok, since I was Zakonik. Yeah. Take that one back. Oops, since I was Emperor, God. Oops. And you'd be, and your approach as any Zakonik is individual to the Zakonik, but I would suspect that you're not picking up as much of the intelligence that the Semnothai would like to hear. We don't want to be in the dark. If Bjorn is looking to unite tribes in any small way, we need to know. We need to know who. We need to know where, and we need to know why, or by what method, or by what portent, what driver he is using to do that. Be aware, we are not against the idea of better relations between the tribes, but they must be on the terms of the Semnothai, not on the terms of any individual tribe. We have the bigger picture. We understand the bigger picture, what's best for the tribes of man, more so than any individual tribe. Bjorn is a good friend. Bjorn I respect. Bjorn is someone that I would only want to see the best for. However, I'm not going to see the best for it while I'm spending all my time down at the docks. Now, on to tonight's festivities. Have you anything in mind planned for tonight, or is anything that you're thinking that you will do different, or is this everything going to go exactly to plan?
I assume it's going to plan. There is a lot of there's going to be a lot of guests of honour here, and they're all very eager to hear how the royal child, Bjorn and Griselda's child, will be healthy and will shape their future and will make name and fortune for themselves. And of course, I expect fully, unless of course the gods tell us otherwise.
But the gods probably won't be telling us otherwise, will they? Instead, they'll be telling us good things. I would assume. I don't know. Has the gods said anything different otherwise?
Well, I won't know until, of course, I read the entrails of the rabbit. And then I will commune with Tal and Ulrich and Ronald and more, and we shall find that, if there's something of import, that we'll find out then.
Good. Well, I look forward to seeing your divination tonight. I shall be looking on keenly, and we will see what we will see. Now, me and I shall avail myself of the city to see how well you've been looking after the tribe of Unberogans. See how well you've been doing under your kind tutelage. I'm sure you've had a hand in everything. Yes, I will see you later on, and I'll leave you to prepare.
I am your humble servant. Servant.
God, I need to write this down more often.
Yeah, you can see that his ale went completely untouched. He was literally trapped in torchlight. There's you can see the sweat glistening upon his head. But you could also see that underneath all that, there was a rise in anger in his eyes. You know that he feels completely protected by the Visok, but of course the Visok is a considerable distance away.
And he's being pushed by me right in front of him now as a member of the Soviet. No, I just like to do that to him. He needs to know his place.
Absolutely. And he does rule as Senathai here, and when a bigger Senathai turns up, it'll be hard to relax that sort of grip and forget that he does answer to other people ultimately. At this point in time, he'll just send word to the Visok and get word back, no doubt. But it's completely different when a member of the council, the Soviet, is sitting in your face going, right, I don't agree with the way you're doing things.
Yeah.
But he has no choice.
No, he doesn't, and I'm fully aware of that. I'm also fully aware that he's making the best of his interests seem to be in more material things, which is Senathai is not something that we're particularly bothered about because we see the bigger picture as well. We can have wealth, but why would we want health? We can have power. Power is wealth. We don't need physical arrangements. We can have anything we want. I can take anything I want. I can take anything off King Bjorn. It's not something I'm sort of talking out loud about this. Something doesn't ring true, Caradak. Something's a bit strange here. Let's go for a walk. Let's have a wander around town. Let's see what we can see and keep those keen ears and eyes open, and we'll have a see what's going on. Something's changed in my old town here. It's been many years since I've walked around here, and I'd like to get a sense of it before we have the portent tonight. So I'm going to basically
A bow, acknowledgement, and I'll open the door.
Okay.
all right. So I'm going for we'll go for a bit of a recce here
Yeah.
because he's slippery. I don't like him.
Well, there's a couple of guards here. The shield and sword sort of, they're a bit more alert. The ones that were sitting to the right-hand side have gone.
Right.
Indicative in your mind that Bjorn and Alvar have come around the side. They went out the back. They've obviously, he said he was out and he had things to do, so his bodyguard will wander off with him potentially. You remember a time when that wasn't needed. Literally, Chieftain would just wander, that also is something that very much immediately sort of smacks you. He actually has he has his bodyguard wandering around with him.
Yeah. Why does he feel need?
Exactly. So you head off to the right hand side of the town. You're noting that around this is the sort of the central area. The town itself is expanded outward. It is a city effectively, in sheer size. It has its guardian wall and towers around it, and it has an instantly recognisable defensive fallback points. It has places where people can be funneled in. Somebody Bjorn obviously is as well as Alvar and a number of others, are very experienced warriors, both offense and defense. And you can see that Reikdorf is taking on a defensive posture, or potentially, if as and when required. As it stands, moving through the town, you end up near down by the waterfront. Again, you can see the low-keel fishing vessels, quite a lot of them. There's a couple of jetties as opposed to a single in itself. That's a sign of power. They need more, but it can take multiple vessels. They come up onto a shale, shallow beach. You can see people are sitting there with their racks out, drying out fish. Slaves, servants, all these people that are working. The place is crowded, and you note quite a lot as you get down to a certain area. There is an actual marketplace set up, tents, temporary things that are being brought. You can see that there's obviously this is a regular area, but this is something that's set up during the day and obviously collapsed at night, or at least it appears to be. And you can see that there's people who have come in with ponies, they've got wagons, they've got furs. You can see by their dress and their clothes sense that they are from different tribes and they are travelling by land, but a lot by sea. You see Azaborns, Tulutans, there's a number of Tutagens, Endels, all by the different clothing, colours, banners, shields. There is, in the first time you've ever seen beyond a war footing, which from time to time will be called when multiple tribes are called together. This is the first time you've ever seen them all walking backwards and forwards. They're armed, but there's not many fights breaking out. You can see the men of...
So there's no tensions, there's no rivalries that seem, which I would expect to see with them all together. So it is as Ingvar was saying, that Bjorn's starting to bring people together.
Yeah, he is. And you can see that there's the tradesmen, but you can see there's other people of power from the different tribes by the better cut of their cloak with a fairly ornate brooch. Their hair is and beards are better, clean. Like I say, everybody's armed. Some have got armour on, and they move backwards and forwards. You can see the Unberogen gods are doing a peacekeeping, moving along in twos and threes, keeping an eye on things. But there are tradesmen. People are going up. They're looking at weapon stands. They're looking at food, clothing, pots, pans, ironwork, stuff that you go, well, Reikdorf's not making that. That's obviously this. And you can see that there's people are being brought together.
Trade centre.
Yeah, and it really is. It genuinely is working. And you've seen up until now, you've seen travelling people, independent. They'll obviously come from different tribes, but they'll move through the tribes and they bring their wares with them. And therefore, the guy that would bring pots and pans, because he's picked them up from there, would have taken the cloth from, say, the Azaborns, or maybe they've been as far as the moot and they've brought up some halfling merchandise. They will then trade that for
so
this.
More peddlers.
Never seen. And this is, to put it bluntly, it's a new concept. This is a new word, market.
Right. Yeah.
You are actually impressed. There's no way otherwise you go, well, this is, you can see the threat behind it. You can see the financial gain behind it. You can also see the fact it is bringing people together. And you can see immediately by the fact that you've got your workers and you've got your tradesmen, as it were. They're actually sharing ideas, they're talking, they're seeing each other's work. But on top of that, you can also, when you look around, you can see that there is a different class system starting to form. And you can see that other people are talking. You can see an Azaborn talking to an Endel. And you can see by the way that they're dressed that they've got a little bit of money. They've obviously made something from themselves, but there's a chance here. You can see that people are making differences in their lives beyond the seventh eye and or their king's advice or need.
So that's pretty alarming for me then, in that case, or at least potentially alarming. I mean,
it's creating something new, a
yeah.
new class system, and something's going on.
The seventh eye need to be, not necessarily need to stop it, but we need to be in on it and we need to control it.
Yeah, because it's outside of the seventh eye. By the looks of it, you can see the potential that the communication, the ability for these markets to come up and people to freely walk between the tribes. Because at the moment they can't. Even now, an Unberogen heads into a Tutagen across the border, armed as they normally would. They will be attacked. That's why these skirmishes are regular. They see each other, they attack each other. But suddenly you're seeing this and thinking,
Trade's going to break these barriers down, so they'll have a reason not to attack each other, and then if they've not got a reason to attack each other, they may start talking. If they start talking, they might realise that they're actually all humans together. And then, wait a minute, what's the common divisive pattern? Potential is seventh eye. And I get no, well, obviously there is only Ørsted, there is no other Semnify that would be assigned to this, but I wouldn't see his presence here anyways. I'm concerned. I mean, I'm concerned I didn't know about this. I'm concerned I didn't know the level of increase in wealth. But that may be just because Ingvar doesn't see that the Soviet needs to know this. But that would concern me as well, because as the Soviet, we would like to think that we would be aware of at least these broad strokes, these broad brushes. I may not know Ingvar's mind specifically on each individual thing, but I'd like to have thought that I knew about this. So I'm a bit concerned. I'm going to have a bit more of a wander around. I'm trying to get a sense of what the feeling is in the market area and in the town. Is it just basically of commerce, of people coming together to trade ideas, trade commerce, money, no antagonism other than the odd drunken loutenry, I'm sure, and just get a sense of the feeling in the city, which is an unusual concept as well, I would imagine, because I'm used to...
This is the largest build-up of man.
I'm not used to that, except the only time when you get to see this many people together, there's usually sharp, pointy things being thrown at each other.
Yeah, no, exactly that. Like I say, you can see that there is a class system coming in. You can see, whereas the blue tattooing is obviously specifically Semnithai, tattooing in itself isn't wrong. And that, in a lot of cases, can indicate a warrior's story. And you can see people standing here and they've got that more detailed, embroidered clothing. They've got their hair shaved in certain ways, black tattoos around them. They've got paint on them. And you can see people talking, their beards got certain rings in them. You can see that there's a person of power, a person of authority, talking to another tribe member of authority. They're talking. There's, in some cases, there seems to be that sort of like, that hushed sort of conversation, looking around what's going on. And you're not sensing that it's like, oh, something's about to happen right now. The only sense you've got is directed at you and the VakTare. And
that's the usual one that we get, which is one of fear.
That's still there, without a shadow of a doubt, but there's something new here. That it's a disturbance.
Oh, well, that's a bit worrying.
That
we're getting in the way, that we're...
Yeah, that's, when you see them sort of like, people will be talking and they'll be looking at us and they see you coming and go, and you can see that there's almost like the body language is like, what do they want? What's he doing here? They don't necessarily... Not all of them will actually identify your look as being higher up than a Zakonik. You know that it is to those that know.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that as far as they're concerned.
Exactly, and then there's a VakTare. What's the authority doing? Why are they here? What they're walking around here for? What does he want? As opposed to just pure fear, there's also that level of frustration. There's sort of like an undercurrent of sod off.
Yeah, which is not what we want to encourage. Okay.
It only goes in one direction, as you're well aware.
Yeah, that's...
And you see heavily armed, you see it differently as well. You just everybody can be armed. Nearly everybody is. That itself isn't something that you pick up on. You just assume it's just part of life. But you also pride yourself in being able to see that there's a certain sort of threat level from the guy that walks flat-footed and carrying a blunt axe badly in a place he can't get to a man that's subtly trying to look like he's or is far more relaxed in his abilities and therefore doesn't seem to try. He's not carrying carpets. You're seeing that there is here there are genuine veterans, warriors, soldiers of skill, mixed tribes, and they're not fighting each other. They're not squaring up against each other. You can see this as clearly as he can see the threat. Not that you can't work out his mind, obviously, but that's how you've seen things. Is you're seeing this. Everybody generally stays away from berserkers. There is a small group of Thuringians that walk past, incredibly scarred, bits of metal stuck through parts of body. You just think, I don't know how that's there. That just insane, incredibly mad look about them. And they would sort of bowl around, and people sort of avoid them as much as they'll avoid you as well. But when it comes to when you see the Endels, for example, and the Burgundians, you can see two fairly capable people, instead of fronting off to each other, there's nods of respect. Some are even talking. You can see that there's places here that, the Great Hall was always the central part of the tribe. That's where people drank. And then you had your places, you'd have work areas and huts where they lived. Now you can see that there's an open place. there's a back wall, there's some logs, some timber's been put up, there's some benches. It's all open framed. It's on one of the sides of the docks, and you can see people sitting there around their wooden platters, and they're eating rabbit and stew and drinking, and they're mixed tribes. And there's actually a place where there's a person taking coin for providing food and drink to strangers. But you can see that there's also, depending on your class level as well, you can see that the Unberogans are in there with them. You don't even know what that place is called, but somebody's had an idea and it's been successful. And then you're looking through and you can see that this is obviously just a common man. This is just somebody that, whether it was a warrior or a fisherman or whatever, but he's seen something and he's been allowed to progress that thought process to something that is successful. You even looking at this and that's bringing in enough. You can see the coin that's going across the counter for just ale and food. And that's something that you think we could even tithe that.
As it must be a lot, yeah. Yeah, so obviously a lot to be taken in. And this is all the way throughout. I mean, we're going for a wander around the town.
Yeah.
This is everywhere. And we're still trapped in the same way, that undercurrent, that feeling, that additional, used to the fear, but probably not used to the contempt.
Yeah. You can it's almost taste it because it is so unique.
Right.
That's how it sticks out to you is, you're fearful, there's no shadow of a doubt that they're worried that you're going to go and he's going to stab somebody type thing, you're going to drag somebody off and sacrifice them to whatever God appeases, whatever one pleases you. But you are beyond fear. There is that feel of, I suppose, another kind of aggression towards the authority that you hold. Right.
Okay. Well, that's a worry. I knew nothing of this.
And you would find it hard for the Visok to be aware of it, to not make a big deal about it in March. You know of tribes that have been slapped, been punished
a lot harder,
for a lot less. This is an intense. This is far more real threat
than any orc or
from your point of view.
Yeah.
And more than the Visok mentioned. Oh yeah, I'm a bit concerned about the Unberogans. Well, I'm thinking about going and look. Yeah, go and see what they're doing.
Yeah.
No, this is beyond that.
So I'm fully helmed up.
Yeah.
As we walk
I mean,
around
you are
the
literally
city.
hand on sword shield because you're so agitated by there's something going on here. Why are they talking? They should be fighting. They should be. There's no shadow of a doubt. Obviously, you don't know. That side of things is beneath you. You're looking at it more from a.
I'm looking for a geopolitical, and I'm thinking maybe Zingvar didn't know. Maybe he's only getting half the story. Maybe this is an Ørsted deal. Maybe Ørsted's the one who's clearly doing really well for himself, except doing well for himself in an area that why would he even be interested in? That's what is an anathema to Ulmakor. Why would he be interested in gold and trinkets? They're nothing. They mean nothing. That's not power. That's not talking to the gods.
And by the time you get to Zakonik, you're well aware of that.
Yeah, it's.
You'd understand at a lower level. But by the time you get up to the Zakonik level, by the time you get that level of power, that is beneath you. Why
would you be interested in everything you want? Therefore, because you can have everything you want, nothing's of import like that. Because, Okay, I'm gonna. We'll circle back through the town to get a sense of what's going on. Make sure there's nothing. This is town wide, as it were, and then we'll head back towards our quarters to talk to. How long we got before Ørsted has to do the portent before he starts reading the entrails? We got any time, or is it?
Yeah, we've got several hours.
All right, so I'm going to go back and see if I can find Ørsted. Okay.
As you are walking by, you're lost in thought. You're noticing other things that you've never seen before, and it is all to do with this sort of building. It's near a central area. Based on how tight the buildings are packed here, this isn't Old Town. This is new. This is newer. They were more spread out. That's the point. Is they were spread out around this entire bay area. This where the Reich comes together. It's got to that point where a town becomes a city, so they start packing more buildings in, and then eventually they'll go, oh, this is like the outer game.
Yeah.
But it's not saying this is outer game. We always look at how a city or a town is. You go to the older part, and it's all compact. But before it gets to that point, it was probably spread out. It then packs it. So, for example, where we are, this is fields. Then it starts building up to it, and then it will spread out again, right? So, because you've never come across this, you're in a more compact area, a little bit further off to the western part of the city. As you've done a loop around into the coast, the port, the harbour, you come along. You've got the outer walls. And you can see, like I say, at this point, you're not completely shut off, but your mind's, whereas he is very much alert and switched on.
Yeah.
They're more compact. There's darker alleyways. There's places where you find yourself sort of staring in, and there's definitely more of a thickness of humanity, more soldiers, sailors perhaps. And you can see that there is more examples of what you saw down on the docks, but instead of that, houses have been converted. And you can hear sounds of laughter, a door will open, you look in there, and it's packed out with people all sitting at benches and drinking. And again, this is blowing your mind, because the Great Hall is where everybody gets together to convene. And now you're finding that there's quite a large, substantial building, and there's people in there, and you can see them drinking and eating, and the sound of laughter, which is always alien to you anyway. People generally seem to be happy. Moving on, you can see that there's another building further down the road. This one's actually got what appears to be something hanging off the front of the building near the door. It's a crudely bit of wood that's been hammered in. It's a support beam. There's some heavy iron nails have hammered this thing in. It's on the end of a chain, possibly the end of an anchor. It's a crude bit of wood that's been painted red, and crudely drawn onto it is a woman with clothing half off, revealing a part of her chest. You've never seen this before at all, and you can see quite a heavy set man, leather vest, with the leather straps on the arm. Quite a heavily built man, heavily scarred, and you can see from his lower garments he is from the Thuringian tribe. He's not seemingly carrying anything other than a very large, heavy blade strapped to his wrist. But you can see by the gnarled knuckles, the chewed off lip, a bit of ear missing. The guy's obviously very much a berserker in all respects, but he seems to be standing, massive shoulders up here, bigger than the door, as you walk past. And you can see that the building itself, though it looks a bit ramshackle, is actually attached. There's multiple buildings have been combined. Fences have been put up to give a courtyard, and you can hear the sound of predominant sound of females and laughter, and you can also hear music, a calming background sort of tune playing. You are literally at this point sort of like walking along, okay, I'm thinking about what you're going to do stuff, and you will be subconsciously aware of it. It's not going to be a surprise if anything, but you are actually, your eyes are drawn to this place. You've never seen anything like it at all. Continuing on down the road, the Thuringian, you can see you've come across Thuringians before. They know who the VakTare are, and you are their challenge. So you are not put out, but you are prepared, because the Thuringians have been known to suddenly just lose it and attack if they get a bit wound up. And you're not worried. You're not sort of averting your gaze, but what you're also not doing is staring him down, because you won't stare a Thuringian down. He will attack you. And unless you decide to have a fight with a Thuringian in the street when you haven't been given permission. So you've got to walk that sort of line of pride of, and if I do it, he will fight me. So you sort of look at him up and down, but just before it becomes a point of challenge, you sort of go, as you look away.
Right. If I'm aware of this interaction, I'll just be not now, Caradak. Perhaps another time on your off time you can test yourself. We'll leave the Thuringian to his own devices. I'm sure he's got other things he needs to do other than roll around the street being bested by yourself.
I don't know what you mean, Master. I'm perfectly calm.
Absolutely.
Perfectly calm.
Oh, and that's a good thing. Then we will carry this calmness on in another location.
Pick up pace. Remove myself from the situation as quickly as possible.
I'm absolutely fine. He growls.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you move away from this area, and it becomes more traditional in the sense of homes. People are there. There's dogs bark in the street. Kids play. Smoke rises from chimneys, and you can see, outside you've got people's, where they've washed some wool or clothing. You become a more traditional, and it specifically moves away from that. There is no word for that area of a town that you've come across.
Almost like conclave.
Yeah, and you end up literally as you're walking away, sort of looking back, thinking, "What have I just walked to? There was nothing. I've just been to this. This is what. There's nothing in your mind. There's no word. There's nothing in the vocabulary for what you've just experienced. But like I say, in a more a place where people live.
But people over there who were, when we're walking through that location, that didn't seem to be of any wonder to them. They were looked as though they were very happy, like this has been around for a long time.
Yes.
And therefore is nothing out of the ordinary, whereas it's completely out of the ordinary from every other interaction with any other tribes that we're aware of.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So that's definitely different.
And you come into sight of the Great Hall. The Great Hall is suitably placed away and still is in a defensible surrounded area. There is still an opening around it. You know, you can feel yourself moving, almost like you're coming. It feels like multiple villages all pushed together from different tribes, and you've moved through one into another, and now you're standing still in the centre, and you look out across the entire landscape of Reikdorf, and you know, this feels Unberogen.
Yeah.
You recognise sort of the whole. But yeah, that's almost what it felt like, that you were coming through
All the other tribes in
all together, but in very, but literally on each other's doorsteps.
Yeah.
Your mind is literally, you're almost going into white noise at the. You know, you realise you have to pick this apart and look at it separately, because the overall experience had you simply going, wow, okay, that's going to take some thought. And likewise for you, for the warrior, the defensive position, field behind it. But yeah, the Great Hall itself, you can see that has still the two guards at the front, indicative of the king and the time when it was first introduced, as the chieftain's not there. There would be more people in, there'd be people around it.
Right.
This is literally just we're protecting his hall.
Yeah.
And that, you know, and we're there to tell you. Yeah. But yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll go up I'll go towards the nearest guard and just ask the guard. Just ask him. Have you seen the Zakonik? Do you know where his quarters are?
He has not left the Great Hall cemetery. I'd be hesitant to give you wrong direction, but I would expect he'll be, if he's not down at the dock, the harbour, he'll be in the hall.
Right.
At the back.
Okay. I'll say thanks, and I'll head towards.
I'll open the door.
Yeah, let's get in.
No, it's open.
Oh, it's open.
Alright.
Yeah.
All right, let's go in.
So you go in, again from the last time you know that the back archway at least leads to what you believe where you saw Queen Griselda to go. You kind of think, well, that'll just go back, because originally that was their private section anyway.
Yeah.
And now though it's bigger, you kind of just sort of go, well, that's probably still going to be the same. You can see there's a number of archways that run up, those two archways on the left-hand side. One of them is literally just a sunken area in the wall, which has got a load of barrels for the mead and the ales and that sort of thing, and it's fairly common. The other one has a doorway that leads into
Private apartments.
And is where Zakonik, your quarters were.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll head towards where I mean, is this like the private? What I'm trying to work out is if I barge in here, I'm barging straight into the
room.
into the king's.
No.
This is the Zakonik's room.
Yeah.
Well, it's my room as well, so I'll go in.
Okay. You're obviously walking behind. Yeah. Okay. As you approach the door, you hear a voice. It's muffled only because of the thickness of the door and the distance that you're at. But you also recognise the reply is female. No, you're just too far away to hear what's being said.
Okay, so we'll get closer.
Okay. You can just be right. So you recognise Erstat Drago's voice. It's not commanding. It's more relaxed. Quite soft, though you can hear it through the door itself. And just make sure that you bring any information at all back to me, and I'll make sure that you have anything you desire, my love. And you hear this female voice. Of course, Erstat. Then get yourself along, get yourself away.
Okay, well, okay, so sounds like this person's coming through the door. We'll just wait.
Okay. Nothing happens.
Oh. I was expecting someone to come through the door. Am I aware of other entrances to my apartments? Right, okay. And then, case I will knock and open.
So,
yeah.
Right.
And open.
There is that sort of rustle of robes and parchments, and you do sort of, you catch him, he's by a chest. It's open, he's obviously been rummaging in it, and as you go, he closes it down. Sorry, Soviet, you've caught me unawares.
It's.
I'm used to people knocking before they come in.
I did knock briefly, and I can only.
I'm outside, by the way. Just because
Like,
they both said it.
Yeah, like. Oh dear. Yeah. Stab him now. Not now. Not now.
You're behind this. You can see the spears on your shoulder.
Spread launch. Not now. Not now.
Just say when.
I heard that.
Yeah. So obviously I've barged in, given him a little time, and I don't care because I'm Soviet, and so that's how I'm gonna. That's my demeanour towards him.
You
and
mask the smell
I must.
that hits your senses. Heavily perfumed,
Right.
very thickly, it catches in your throat, but there's a musk and a smell of unwashed body. It's a mix, and altogether horrible.
Right. So, and noticeably, like sort of like.
Yeah, like
And so I'll say.
bedroom.
So I'll say, Ørsted, what is that? What have you been doing? The smell in here. Is this required? Can you not get?
Probably the herbs, and they're not very ventilated here. You know, there's a lot of stone, and I don't smell anything. And
No,
you're standing there with the door open, and it's making its way out, and you're going,
The fact that you have covered yourself in that cloying women's perfume to try and mask the smell in here. What is that?
I like to bathe, and I like to smell nice.
You like to bathe when? Once every solstice? That's.
You smell like shit.
It comes through the door. Girlfriend. So I'm on it when he's getting a hard time. Anyways, enough of this.
Are you looking in, or are you?
Can I? Okay, so
Is it roughly the same height?
Yeah, I'm still standing at attention at the door because you just knocked.
Well, knocked and opened.
the door.
Yeah.
So if the door's ajar, so can I see through?
Well, the door's
Oh,
wide open.
also I can fully see. Oh, well, I'm standing.
Yeah, it's whether or not he barges in,
Yeah.
and you get up to the threshold, and you're like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'll just stand there because I have to respect the order.
Yeah.
I know my place.
And plus, there's some fresh air where you are.
Yes.
You literally feel this scent sticking to you.
Yeah, sounds great. So, anyways, yeah, I'm pushing him on the back foot. I don't know physically, but yeah. So, Ørsted, sit. We need to talk.
Sits on the chest.
Yeah.
Note.
A note, right. I've been around town. I've been for a good long walk around town. I don't recognise Reikdorf
I know.
at all. Nothing
Worrying.
about Reikdorf I recognise at all. I also don't recognise people's reactions to the Semnothai.
Well, that's what happens when they mix. Visok has always taught us that that's why the gods want them to be separate.
When did this occur? When did this start happening?
Oh, a couple of years back. It was a couple of seasons when I first reported this to the Visok. Ingvar is well aware.
Ingvar is well aware.
Mm.
You are certain that Ingvar is well aware.
Well, I've passed all my reports as all good Zakonik should. But nobody comes out this far, do they? When was the last time anybody else came down here? I do my best.
This
But
is
Ingvar said to wait. You know, he would tell me what to do, so I've allowed it to continue. And I've updated him fully that the place was different. There's something here. I believe that the northern gods have got their foot in here. And I work tirelessly.
the northern gods. In what way do you believe the northern gods are in here, or their influence has spread? What specifically?
Well, Thuringian, Endel, Drutone, standing, amiably talking. And these new ideas, they've got to be coming from the north. Where else could they come from?
Is this something that I would believe that a lower level Semnothai would think, because that's not the northern gods. The northern gods would probably have you chewing each other's ears off and butchering each other for their pleasure. So is it?
There's so many things that cross your mind. He's an idiot.
Yeah.
He's lying.
Yeah.
He's an idiot lying.
And it's all going through like.
He's just like, is anybody this stupid?
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking. Like, really? So the cannibal gods, they're the ones who are interested in this. They've just brought out the United Nations. Yeah, that's what the cannibal gods would do. Huh?
Yeah. Yeah. VakTare, slap him.
Yeah. Throw him to the floor, Sensual. Yeah. Right, because I'm trying to work out that this would not. He's just acting dumber than a bucket of soapy frogs, basically here. What? And then
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that, you know, when you work your way towards Zakonik, you think that he's exalted, and then eventually you get up to that next level and you look back and go, God, we were stupid.
yeah, that's right. I'm
Maybe
thinking,
that's what it is.
That's what it is. I'm just having an ephany that.
Because you don't spend that much time with Zakonik either.
No, I don't hang around with him. Right. Okay.
Maybe he's just a thickie. or he's lying. There's nearly anything and everything that could be an excuse flips through your mind,
Like
and you can't disregard any of them.
Right.
You look at this greedy, self-absorbed. That is clear.
yeah. And he's obviously running a spot. Well, he's got. I don't have any issues with the fact that he's got his intelligence gathering what I heard through the door. I haven't got a problem with that at all. How you get the information is not important. I don't care. That's how he perhaps maybe. It depends on how using an intelligence and an intelligence tool for that purpose is fine.
Yep.
I'm not entirely sure that as long as you don't get too interactive with the tool, as it were, I suppose. But his methods don't really bother me. It's in that regard, he gets his information how he gets his information. That's what I would expect from him. But
Both of you would also be aware for different reasons that there's a potential advantage to knowing that there's obviously a way in and out that bypasses the King's guards.
yeah.
Whether it be a risk, a threat, or something to take advantage of.
And obviously, he's keenly interested. He is very, very protective towards this chest that he's sitting on and trying to like brood like a hen on an egg. And I'm just looking at this thing because we don't have material possessions,
No.
but we do have secrets, and that may obviously where he keeps his secrets. And I'm just trying to work out whether at this stage with the Soviet go, what's in the box, or whether I go, let him have his box. And so at the moment, what I'm thinking is, let him have his box. And so, right, Erstad, after this evening's portent, I need you to give me a full debrief of everything that's been going on. I will let you concentrate on tonight's festivities and tonight's important meeting. But tomorrow, you will debrief me. You will tell me everything because this is all new, and I don't like it. And I don't like where it's going. So carry on with your preparations, and I will see you tomorrow. When do you head out for the portent? How long have you got before that you would prepare yourself and you would leave? For I want to be there right at the start when you begin all your preparations for the actual ceremony. How long do we have?
In about an hour's time, I think that the Queen's servants will start preparing the main hall. They will then bring out the sacrifice. I would say just over 2 hours from now.
Right, 2 hours time. I will see you presently in the main hall, and I'll sweep out and try and get some fresh air.
Yeah. You literally, as you come out, you can feel it in the back of your throat. It is cloying. It is also, you note, sort of in a remote type way. It's likely hallucinogenic, if that's the right. It's not giving you a hallucination. It's carcinogenic. No.
What gives you cancer?
No, it's not that either. It's definitely got a chemical impact on your brain.
Oh, okay. So it could be an hallucinogen, but it's having some sort of over time. It's not an instant, but over time it would have mind-altering effects.
Yes, you can feel it.
Or at least it would dull your. It would do something to your
Correct.
senses. Yeah, right.
That's
okay.
what it is. Colours seem to be brighter.
Right.
You know, sensation seems to be a lot more.
Something that I'm aware of. Something that we use normally.
As you've stepped up, there's
Like,
loads of different herbs at this stage.
Nothing that's familiar. They go, he's using tincture of blah blah, which is for what? Oh, okay.
Multiple things which you are aware of can start like this. It's the secondary, third effect that you start going, see what that is. You're also aware that you're going like, oh.
And is this the sort of thing that Semnathai would be normally involved? I mean, we are herbalists as well, as part of our duties, as part of what we are interested in, as part of our studies, I guess. Is it something that we would go to earlier on, or is it something for a higher level? What I'm trying to find out is this sort of using mind-altering substances. Is it common amongst the Semnathai? Is it common amongst Zakonik, or is it common amongst
The context is in ceremonies.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not in private quarters.
Not slathering it on your body or in your hair or waxing yourself with it.
Right. Okay.
Or putting it into the torch that was giving light into the room, wherever it was coming from. Not active during the day when you're not doing it. It's a ceremonial thing. And yes, like anything, there are times where people become addicted to it and start chewing it and their lips go purple and their teeth fall out.
So it'd be the same as like smelling incense now in a church and going, oh yeah, but then going to someone's private quarter and be stinking of incense going, well,
yes.
yeah, why would you have it in your rooms?
Yeah.
Okay, right. Okay.
But it definitely reacted with the fresh air.
Right.
Or became more poignant, like having a drink during the daytime in a darkened environment and stepping out into the sunlight and going,
daytime drinks, always worse. They're always worse.
Yeah, for those of us that know.
Yeah, hey kids, don't do it. Right, okay, well, when we get outside and out of earshot of where he is, Caradak. Let's just double tap. We've got a couple of hours before our good friend Erstead will be out of that room. Let's just step out of this building. I want to have a look on the outside because I want to see if there's a way in between. Someone left that room. You heard that person. That person wasn't in the room. Let's see what that person may have exited from the outside. So we're going to have a bit of a, not like tapping on walls and but we're just going to get outside and go. Where would a door be that isn't obvious? Where would that be coming out? And is there like that wall looks a bit thick around there? Oh, it's got a strange looking. Why has it got a bulgy bit there? Where does that seem? Just
check what you've got and react depending on what you see.
Just to see, exactly. Just see if there's something that just doesn't look right on the outside of the building that might suggest where this person have gone from.
Well, you step out and move around to the right hand side. Obviously, it's lengthways on. You find yourself taking gulps of the fresh air and it clears your head.
Oh, right, as bad as that, is it? Okay.
Yeah,
right.
literally going, and you can feel with the fresh air of of this area, with the river and all that sort of stuff, and you can feel it clears your head and gets rid of that sort of that slight build up of nausea and tiredness around the eyes. You're sort of like, okay, and you shake your head off and you walk along. So, like I say, the main part of the hall itself is made up of stone, which in itself, this level of stonework, it's not beautiful by any means. You've been in the Alfar ruins. You know what true work stone masons are.
But it's totally unusual for.
Yeah, it's brickwork effectively. Stonework. However, so you've got the main rounded roof. Then obviously you've got the stone walls when you're inside, but the outside is then even wider because you've still got the wooden structures. You've got a barn along the right hand side. It's got a lot of livestock, pig, horse, etc. Down the left hand side you've got timber for fire, you've got hay, and as you move along and you open up these sides, and they're not small environments. You get halfway along when you or just over halfway along, nothing seems to have stuck out, but you're having to go in, sort of look around and see what's going on. You come into this area, you can see this hanging fish, salted beef, a lot of foodstuffs, and well, you're both very alert people, and you can see where the ground has been very recently disturbed. Unlike the other areas, we'll have, depending on the ground itself, it could literally just be mud, stone brushed down, bedrock has been exposed, or in some cases timber's been put in. Because this is where the food stuff has been hung, etc., you find that the ground itself is hard packed earth to help soak up any excess blood, etc. And from here you can see that there's literally just been some movement from the back of the wall. The door has been moved and it has been recently disturbed, more so than the others. There's no reason at this point to be coming and going into this area. You could simply go, well, based on the food, there's nothing fresh dripping,
right,
so nobody's been in there and hung a fresh carcass.
Does this juxtaposition of where this door would be, is this roughly where his accommodation would be? Yeah, so if it's likely to be anywhere, it's been there. Right.
So you obviously, you open it up, you move in, you're like, okay, so there's like I said, this is more the fresh food hanging area, and you move to the back, and you can see where the timber frame supports fencing almost is, with closer inspection, not visible to be seen, but because your curiosity is up, you tap at it, and you find it's loose, you pull it away, and you can see that there's an area that dips down and goes underneath the main part of the hall, or towards the wall, anyway. On your hands and knees, you don't dip your head down, and you can see support beams. The whole hall isn't up in the air.
It's been dug out then, has it?
It has.
Yeah.
And there's some people worked. It's not recent. It's been there for a while.
Yeah.
But it's obviously been part of the design.
It wasn't part of my.
No, you didn't have this.
Right. Yeah.
You literally, you had a wooden aspect on the. Everything was wood then, and you had a bed and a cot, and it was cold. But yeah, you can see that it dips down. It's about you've got a crouch, and you can see where it goes up to a trapdoor. You noted no trapdoor when you were in the chamber, which is stone floored, but you didn't notice any trapdoor. But underneath you can see that there's some stone that's been supported, but there's a distinct wooden.
Is anyone around here at the moment? Are we by ourselves? Are we noted?
Nobody would have taken. If they took any notice, they're not going to see anything. They're not going to.
No, but
investigating it.
But no one's in the area to. Okay, and so.
And plus, you're out of sight now, having stepped into the.
Any sight? I mean,
fresh food area.
It's compact earth, so there's probably no footmarks or anything like that. So there's nothing to see who or where this person who came through this trapdoor may have gone to.
No, simply out the door and then off. That
Wherever.
was it, gone.
Yeah. This is probably so. Caradak, this is probably better for you. Can you just get in there and see if you can work out, like, have a listen at that trapdoor. See if our good friend Ersted's at the other end. But be as quiet as you possibly can. I don't want him to know. And if you get a sensation that he's heading this way, again, the main purpose is, I want to know if this is
That's Ulmakor.
Yep.
I've got it.
Right.
I take off my helm, strip down, and then go in.
Okay. After a few feet, you are literally at no other direction. It doesn't fork off anywhere. So you've still got the natural light coming from there. Even from here, you sort of, depending on how close you get, if you're sort of at the hole.
Yeah, I'm just. To be honest, I'm keeping lookout to make sure there's no one, no one's going to come in like, oh, I'm just descending the thigh, checking out pig blood, or your blood. Go away.
I'm sympathizing. Go away.
Yeah.
I'm sanctifying the food.
Yeah, I just need some more human blood to do that. Yours looks good.
It's about 2 foot. It's waist height.
Right, okay.
You can see that inside it's hard packed earth. It's being swept. There's minimal sort of dirt down here. But it's about a couple of feet high and a couple of meters in length. So you drop down, you're crab-like. You're moving along. You can still see a bit of light coming from there. You know that he's there. You can still, you can see the edge. You come underneath. You've got the wooden frame. There is no locking mechanism at all. And you can see that the supports for it are on this side. So this wooden part that you're looking at is obviously dropped down on top. Yeah. You'd have to lift it from inside, but by the fact that it is dark, something's on top of it. You're listening up, you get your head right up against it. It's a bit of a sort of a uncomfortable position. And you can only hear from time to time the sound of scuffle, a sound of a foot scuff, that sort of thing. Unlike the rest of you where you wear fairly heavy duty leather, this sounds more soft material like. You remember that Erstad wears slippers, effectively.
Yeah, so it's him just moving up around. Yeah, all right. I think I know where his chest is. When he comes back, eventually when he reports this, I think I know what the chest's about. the one he was trying to lay.
Yeah.
Right.
No more. Can't hear voices.
No.
I mean, I'll give it a few minutes, see if anything changes.
Just the odd, like I say, he's not constantly moving around. That in itself would be weird. Like, what's he pacing for? Just the odd sound of a foot catching something. You know that based on the wood and whatever's on top of it, that's going to deaden any noises anyway. So if he's doing whatever else he's doing, it's just simply not. He's either moving very silently and doing something very quietly, or simply the fact that the sounds are deadened by depth, location, and cover.
Right. I'll head back.
Okay.
All right. Well, obviously when he lets me know about all of it.
Yeah.
So it looks like our good Zakonik has an entry and exit position that perhaps isn't clearly marked on the doors. And I've just basically related. I think I know why he was sitting on that chest, Caradak. I also think that we might be paying a visit to this location later on tonight when our good Zakonik is perhaps otherwise engaged. And until then, let's just keep your eyes and ears peeled.
I'll slip into my
Not your
my
ears
armour.
peeled, that'd be wrong. Your eyes peeled, your ears. Eyes peeled, I can understand. Ears peeled?
Slip back into the armour,
Yep.
get on the helm, put on the helm, and then carry on our way.
Right, so you leave the hanging shed.
The hanging shed?
Meanwhile, amongst the animals,
There's a lot of bodies there. Ah!
somebody, excuse me. Oh,
Next. Oh, didn't do too well at the gambling tables. Yeah, it was boring. It's a Wednesday.
it's the intentional hanging shed.
Right, okay.
It's Tuesday. Right, I'm off for a hanging.
Also known as the suicide shed. All right. Okay, we've got a couple of hours until he's going to do his thing.
Yep.
I mean, at the moment, I'm completely floored as to what's gone on to the old town that I knew.
New concepts, everything.
Yeah.
There's a hell of a
I'm
lot
going to just say, look, Caradak, let's just get yourself ready. We're going to have a busy night tonight, I think, because we're going to go and try and get into those rooms because I want to see what's going on. And I'm also just going to sit down and wonder. I'm going to muse about the not so much the body smell, because some people just say they want to be naturally stinky, although I don't know that that's a common thing amongst the Semnothai, that they just forget to wash. It may be an individual thing, I don't know.
It's like anything, you get to a certain point and you just become background scent.
Yeah.
So to actually smell that bad, it means that he's scrubbed himself clean, built up BO, hasn't washed his clothes, and that's why it's smelling. But in a time where people still, vast majority of people think that bathing is bad for you.
Yeah, it's once a year stuff.
Yeah?
Yeah. He stands out.
So that's so you're used to your smell, you just smell of leather and you do bathe. That's, the VakTare, that's part of their thing, so they're very much aware of how bad everybody smells. Whether or not Ulmakor feels that bathing is a thing in a time when it's not exactly, comfortable. But, yeah, so there's something, when somebody smells, it's because they're trying to they've cleaned themselves, they've scrubbed themselves, and they just have bad odour. Because otherwise, after a time, even that smell just mixes in amongst everybody else, doesn't it, to a certain degree? Like you're not aware that each other aren't sitting there with fluoride, but you're on registering the fact that he's got bad breath. You just become aware. He does specifically, even in this period, reek.
Right, okay, and he's trying to mask it with a lot of really strong perfume.
Yeah, and it just makes it
And
worse.
then there's also something pungent herbal essence that he's spreading around at the same time, or that's the same thing?
You think it's probably the oil or the spray that he's putting on, whatever he's bathing in, or whatever it is on his body. Right,
and that smell, that it is BO. It's not like what I'm trying to say is it's not like he spends a lot of time down in the sewer and it smells of it's human effluent. It's a BO smell. It's not like a rancid. It's not like something I can. What I'm sitting musing thinking.
It causes a nausea reaction to you.
Is he spending a lot of time in the sewer? Is that what I'm smelling? Am I smelling midden smell? Like we all know what a midden smells like. It's like.
So is he at the stable mixing with the animal crap?
Does he? Well, yeah. Or is it human? Does he spend a lot in the pig pen, rolling around in the pig pen? Is it that sort of smell? Like I'm trying to pinpoint. Is there a specific smell to it? Like is it pig effluent, which smells like human effluent? Is it human effluent? Is it dung? Is it? Or is it just bad BO? Like the guy
just unwashed.
Yeah, he's just got really bad. I'm trying to work.
Unhealthy.
It's
sweat.
Yeah, as you all try. It doesn't smell like crap. He's not rolling around in poo.
Does it smell like death? Like he's been
sickly, sweet, unhealthy, pungent.
Right. Okay.
Like
he's not coming to the party.
Almost like an infected wound type thing.
Right. So it's rot. Or it's first start of an injury that's starting to go off, that we would say time to take that finger off, mate, or your arm or whatever, or just your head. Yeah, right, okay.
Possibly sores and his arm, and his armpits and his folds, something like that. But yeah,
Black
it
Death.
could be the ointment.
It's Black Death. Run.
Yeah, click.
So you're trying to mask the rot.
Well,
perfumes.
The obviously the perfumes are there to mask his BO, but I'm just trying to get a sense of what the BO is. Is it BO or is he?
It's not mince pies.
Yeah.
Which we don't know what mince pies are on this.
Yeah.
But, it's not.
I'm also trying to work out
cooked meat.
Yeah, I'm also trying to find out if he spends a lot of time down in the sewer.
But
then again,
there's no sewer.
Do we have a sewer? So is
What's a sewer?
Yeah, so he's rolling around in the midden heap. That's what I'm saying. Is he spends?
Yeah, because that's the thing is, there's no at this point in time. There's no latrines, that doesn't exist either.
Yeah, it's
literally
septic tanks or septics, pit, middens, basically.
No, not even then. So at this point, it is literally because your human effluent is mixed in with the animal effluent and then put out in the fields.
Right.
Because they've only, as you saw when you first came across Reikdorf, not only have they built up walls, but they're actually expanding into a farming. They've got farms out there. There's a lot of stuff going on the outside. So their animals are brought in because there's a lot of stuff out there trying to eat them. So they'll be brought into those stables, and there's not stables so much as barns, as compounds, and they're the first things that you come across mainly when you come to these, and that's full of animal effluent, and that's where the people are going. They're not just crapping outside; they go in there, and that's where they'll use it. They'll mix it in because it's
fertilizer.
Yeah, it's fertilizer. Effectively, that's the precursor to what would be a common toilet, I suppose. It is.
Yeah.
And so they're not up our story throwing out buckets into the street.
Yeah.
That's not going on.
It's night souls. They have a cart come round, take everything away.
Exactly. Yeah. That's. I mean, we are talking that far back. That's where we are. So there's no sewer. There's no such word for it yet. There's no latrine. That's going to be another about 1,000 years probably before they start. Before they'll be around, or at least 500 years. But at this point in time, you are talking literally night soil in an area mixed in with the animals to then be
taken out of the farmland
in the fields. Yeah.
Which is not normal anyways. in this. Well, it's normal, but not with this density of people.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, and so I'm not thinking that he's got any sort of. He's not evoking any particular god and trying to commune with it in terms of my Semnothai ways with these. It's probably just down to the fact he stinks to high heaven and he's trying to hide it.
Yeah.
Much like our good Fizok, who's not trying to hide it.
No, he doesn't try to hide
Mr.
anything.
Stinky, king of the stinky people.
Yeah, he surrounds himself in rot.
Yeah, he likes it.
Yeah. He doesn't hide that at all. He thinks that it's funny.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Okay. Well, we've got a couple of hours to kill, or not to kill.
Yeah. Sorry, in case that came out, you didn't say we've got a couple of owls to kill.
Yeah. Woo, woo. Here them owls. Another one dead. Hurrah!
That's Ulmakor's thing.
Yeah. Doesn't like the flappy wings.
It's the way that head's turned around.
It's not right. It's against the gods. Right. Okay. So what I want to try and get in. Let's keep a. I want you to keep a watchful eye. I want to know when he leaves his room, right? Because he's got 2 hours before he's got to be out of there. But he might see if he. Let's keep a bit of a watch on our good Zakonik, and let's keep ourselves in a position where we can just indolently be hanging around, not doing anything, but clearly keep an eye on. Because I don't know anything else we want to. I want to see what's in that chest that he was so protective of. And so I need him out of his room. I mean, we could just go in and pull him out. You could stick him against the wall while I go and look in the chest. But that's somewhat giving the game away.
Then you find something that you don't like and have him sacrificed.
Yeah, immediately. This portent, I thought it was a rabbit. Yes, this rabbit's called.
No.
It's got a name.
Yeah. I've decided to take over the feast.
Yeah.
Because you are such a great king, we'll sacrifice one of our own.
We'll sacrifice this Zakonik. Come on, Erstead, you're loving it.
Yeah. For the gods.
Can't speak. His face is all bound up.
Okay, so basically what you're looking for is you're waiting to see if he leaves, and if he does, you're not following him, you're going to go in.
Yeah. That's. I just wanted to. Yeah, I want to see. He's got a couple hours to go before he's got to do the preparations. He will be getting ready to do preparations. He should be communing with the gods to get ready, and basically, get his story right. And I'm sure he's been told by Ingvar what the story should be. So I just want to know what's going on. I don't want to go anywhere. I just want to get a sense of the build-up because everyone's going to come to us. So I don't need to go to them. The town's not a town anymore. It's becoming this thing that I don't know. It's a huge town, which we'll get to know as a city.
Exactly. Yeah. Eventually, somebody will call it something, but now at this point, it's the biggest town ever.
It's just a big town. And so I just want to be beside where this guy is because at some point I want.
So you want me to keep watch?
Yeah, well, keep watch, and I'm going to keep watch just because I don't want to be sort of sitting there outside his room just staring at it. I just want to be.
Bear in mind, his room enters onto the big hall, the biggest by far building in the entire big town. There's nothing wrong with you actually be sitting in there.
That's what I'm thinking, is just sitting in the hall and we'll just be sitting there and chatting, just soaking in the atmosphere, see who's coming and going, having a bit of food, because I don't think we've eaten.
Yep. Well, he hasn't, but you did.
Oh, good. Well, so we've eaten.
Yeah.
The important thing is I've eaten.
Yeah. He watched people eat.
Yeah, that's just as good.
Enough,
it's just as good.
Well, when you're in the hall, the servants come and go. You can see they're preparing it. It's not like they're putting decorations up. What they're doing is they're basically moving chairs and tables around. They've freshened the pit. They're bringing the things with drinks in. Barrels.
Oh, right.
And flagons and waterskins where. And
liquids.
They're bringing in. They're preparing the hall for a large group of people to come in. There are chairs, but you can see it's even bigger than the sitting area. The throne room is, the sort of like the beat the.
Given with the amount of
across the throne.
With everything, the amount of preparations got. How many people are we looking like a packed hall? It's going to be hundreds in here.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Probably not hundreds. It's not that big.
Okay.
But it's as far as numbers are concerned, this would be a major gathering again. Normally, and only ever seen during either the deepest of winter, when the Great Hall was where everybody went and slept. But this is far beyond that. And there's now a place where, effectively, the way that you're sitting at the Great Hall watching it, this is King Bjorn's house.
Right.
It's no longer the Great Hall anymore, though it's where the Great Hall was. You can see it was to a point. People have no need to gather here except for when King Bjorn will obviously summon them to do it. Literally, you realise this is his home.
Right.
This is now his house now. It's more than just a Great Hall.
Yeah.
It's where he it's like Ingvar's tent.
It's wrong. It's just wrong.
You know, people will come and go because they're not communing here. They're not coming here and having something to eat and drink because it's the time of day. They've got their own homes. The homes are bigger. They've got places that are dedicated to preparing and feeding them and drinking them, and giving them drink.
Watering them. Yeah.
Watering. The Great Hall, though it still is more of his house now as opposed to a central governing area.
Okay.
And that's interesting in itself. So yeah, while you're there, you know, and you can, as you were well aware, you can see this food is being brought, plates are being stacked, some are placed. You can see there's freshly cooked meats are being brought in, pig, cow, lamb, whatever, various different things. Fishes are being brought in. Some of it's warm, some of it's cold, some of it's still cooking, gristly, etc. But as the hour goes by, people start to come in. And you note that barring the relatively small number, there's about, say, 15 Unberogen warriors, Alvar included. The rest of them, people coming in, male and female, are of the other tribes.
All
representation.
Right. Obvious representation. Like
very distinct. There's not like, you don't see the other kings.
Right, yeah.
You can see that there's, based on one guy with a huge amount of rings down one arm, he's like, I think that's the Endel champion.
Yeah, there's people being
representative of the other tribes.
Okay.
The only, in fact, as it goes, the only people that you note that are missing are the Odosis and the Ostrogoths.
Right.
But since they're at war in the north, you wouldn't be surprised. Then again, because you are unaware of the time frame of information passing backwards and forwards, the amount of time it would take for their representatives to turn up here, did that happen before, after the war? Maybe they've come back. Either way, they're not here, and they happen to be the tribes currently being attacked in the north.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
But even like I say, the Thuringians are here, the Jutones are here, the Endels. The Jutones and the Endels, from what you understand, are actively at war. The Jutones invading Endel lands, and yet they're here. They're not standing side by side, and you can see that they've got their women with them.
Right. Again, not normal.
Never.
When you go to war.
Yeah. You know, and you've never seen all these tribes together.
Right.
Some of these tribes might know of each other, but have never met.
Okay.
You know, the Azerborns have never met the Endels. The
As far as we know.
Well, yeah, and since you should know everything and you govern it all.
Yeah.
But the Bretonii are here, and they've went through the Endel lands to get here. That means that the Endels have allowed the Bretonii to come here.
Yeah. Which doesn't happen.
Ever.
It shouldn't happen.
Never.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to be like, yeah, exactly. Keep putting me shadow like, oh, but you shouldn't be here.
Yeah, and each one of them has come with a retinue. They've got warriors with them.
Right.
You're looking at these guys, and that sort of level of detail is beneath you. You're just looking at the sort of representation of their clothing colour, whether they're being a kilt or the leather. They've all got a sword or shield on them. They're not shields, swords and daggers. Shields are generally being left outside because it's just a bit unwieldy. You're obviously looking at the representation of the warriors and what they represent based on beards, rings in beards, bracelets, torques. And these are all champions. They're all the champions of their tribes. These are personal bodyguards, warriors of renown in their own kind, amongst their own kind. These tokens are gifted to them by their kings for great prowess. It's not a favoritism thing. You've got to earn this stuff. Some of them are, for example, the Tulutans. You can see that they've got a tradition that they put rings in their beards, which are from the swords of those they have personally killed. And you can see guys standing there with these full beards of rings. That, their muscles must be intense because they've got these things. All the traditions are visible to you, and not one of these guys that you're looking at are weak. They're not servants. They're not recruits. These are all veterans. Massive show of power, and not one of them seems to be, giving each other. They've got. You can feel there's animosity. Certain groups are avoiding each other, and you can see that the Unberogen warriors are very keenly aware. It's not as relaxed and calm as they'd like to think, especially around the Thuringians. These guys eat people, and they're mental. You don't know what they're going to do, and now they're sitting in the Great Hall, surrounded by everyone everyone's their enemy.
So whilst everybody else, whilst everyone else is relaxed, I'll still be.
Yeah, the only person that commonly is hit by everyone is sitting there.
Yeah, I'll still be.
He's up in the rafters.
Position, yeah. No, I'll still be in position. On very much stood to attention behind Ulmakor.
I'm assuming that up until that point you were sitting beside him Well,
Yeah,
sense
yeah.
of comfortability.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, I mean, if there's
when
no one
people start
around,
coming in,
yeah,
you're
yeah.
like, you just
When
need
there's
to
no one
tell you, so you
around,
go,
obviously, yeah. Yep.
yeah, protect it. Of course, you're sitting out of place. You're down in the pit, effectively. You know, you're in amongst the people. Do you at any point move up to the table near the throne?
Yeah, I mean, as more and more people arrive, and it's like, right, and I'm getting a sense of,
Oh, they're arriving.
yeah, that people are arriving, and I'll start moving. I'll move out of the common areas and go to the area where I'm supposed to be, and obviously,
And you're like a
Caradak
step below.
will have to then start going. And yeah, I'm going to be just like, obviously, extremely curious as to what the hell's going on with all these tribes getting together, and they're not showing fealty to, well, not at the moment, but the fact that Bjorn can bring them all together and they're not fighting each other. What's that about? No. No. This is not right. This is not right at all.
Well, as the hour goes by, pretty much the hall fills up. The doors are left open, and you can see that there's a considerable Unberogen presence on the outside. But the people on the inside aren't seemingly threatened by this.
I'm going to have a word with Caradak, just in case we don't get any free time when Erstead leaves for this ceremony, in case he leaves up until the last moment. When the ceremony starts and he's clearly here, you slip out and go and have a look in his room and have a look around. I'm particularly interested to know what's in that chest.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah, if we don't get that chance, because I'm thinking if he doesn't turn up until everything's kicked off, then it'll be obvious when we leave. Like, wonder where the cemetery's going, and he'll be able to see me going. Whereas you can make yourself scarce and disappear and go and have a route around his private things. I want to know what's in that chest. You may wish to exit through that other way. I don't know. Depends if you think that the entries, getting in is one thing, but you don't necessarily be coming out and being seen coming out. You might want to consider that one as well.
So just out of game. So considering that the chest is a way in and out, will that fit down there with fully
It won't.
armored up?
We'll find out.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
So
Based on your being underneath it, you'd be confident you could fit through there.
right, okay. That's all I need to know.
Maybe he's not with a shield and a spear.
No, not.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I need.
Definitely not with a shield.
No.
Yeah.
So okay. So I'll take note of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Well, like I say, so the hour moves into the second period. You're seated at a table near the king at the next level up, as it were. Obviously, the Zakonik takes his place beside the king, which you could usurp him if you wished.
Yeah, no, I don't want to do that.
So you are given the highest point of respect. And you notice that the other tribes are all equalled. None of them are given preference. You can see that nobody directs them to say, well, the Endor gets to sit this close. It's not one of those things of, depending on how close you are to the king, is your favour.
Yeah.
He's not showing that. They literally just sit down. Some are standing. You can see that there's people talking away, people of great power and influence based on their tattoos, their markings, etc., will be standing, while a guy that's obviously still important, but not, that guy you're thinking, he's a borderline king, he could be family to the, he's standing there and he's talking to somebody, very distinct look, they're brothers, and then the warrior sits at the table. They're literally just relaxed and just moving around. And they're feeding, women are walking past, and there's no PC laws in those days, so there's lots of grabbing and giggling and chatting. And it is a crowd. People are standing, sitting, they're eating, they're drinking, they're joking, they're telling stories to each other. They're not necessarily, Thringians are still very much left alone. There's only one gap bigger, and that's the one around you. But the others are all
I've got so much to
still,
offer. How dare they? Don't they realise who I am? I have feelings as well.
You come here, tell me a joke.
Exactly. Make me feel happy. What?
The other obviously the thing from your point of view is you see a potential, whether it's happening right now, the potential here for the fact that somebody just breaks down barriers.
Yeah, no, I don't.
You've got a problem, and he's talking to him, and they could find a way to fix it together.
Yeah,
the whole point of this is to keep them separate.
Yeah, no,
all barriers are gone.
As a Seventh, I'm not happy with this at all. I mean, I'm absolutely not happy because there's nowhere in this where a Zakonik could be interjected into. There's no, it's just looking like, wait a minute, we could be losing all control over the tribes. Other than the spiritual need of the people, the fact that we can talk to the gods and the gods can talk to us, these people can actually work on their own, and that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Because heaven forfend, gods forfend that they work out that maybe they don't need us.
And this is the thing that really must be worn itself in your mind, of course, is that Ulmakor's, he had to protect the Unberogen line.
Yeah.
But the thing that he's been brought up in the Xanathai side of things is seen this as the threat that it generally is.
Well, yeah, to be honest, I can understand why Ingvar might wish to see Bjorn removed. I don't wish to see Bjorn removed, but I'd like to think that this needs to be controlled, and I don't think that the control is going to be given by the Zakonik, because the Zakonik's so interested in his own skin and furthering his own petty sort of foibles that he's of no use to us as well. He needs to be removed more than the Northern Zakonik needs to be removed.
Yeah. Yeah. Someone of strength that will hold the line. This guy's obviously went, I can see a benefit here.
Well, I'm just going to just live with this and carry on, and I don't necessarily. But also, I mean, he told me everything I needed. He said exactly what he needed to tell me when I confronted him about the nature of what's going on. He was all the right things, and now I'm thinking, did he? Well, no, he's into it for himself. But has he told Ingvar? Okay, and that's why I need to know what's in that chest, in case there's nothing in there, of course.
Well, obviously at this point you're well aware that the Xanathai is sitting there doing his thing. You know, based on the portent feasts and how it's traditionally done, that once the feast is over, somebody will trusted to the family. You will assume it will be, in your mind, you think it will be Alvar, will bring the rabbit, and then the Xanathai will step down, cut it open, sacrifice it, look through its entrails, and then read the portents. You've got, based on the way that the food and the drink is flowing, at this stage, and you know at this point as well it's water, mead and ale, because you don't want everybody mortal drunk by the time this happens. You've got about half an hour before the potent...
And is Ersted's out?
As soon as the official, you know, everybody got there and the mead and the food was starting to be brought out, the king and queen come out and he comes out with them. So he's, you know,
so he's going to be nailed to this place now until
he's by the king's right side.
So I'll give Caradak a bit of a nudge and go, best you go and have a look now.
So you can find yourself walking around the side. You know, a couple of times as you're moving along, you see people sort of step to one side.
I'm noticeable because I'm a VakTare, clearly.
Yes, and everybody's avoiding you. And of course, if you start to walk towards his door, you see a clearing, move towards it, and obviously the Xanathai is on a raised platform going.
Yeah.
So maybe
I'm going to leave.
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe you should go the other way.
Water's parting straight towards his door.
I wonder where he's going.
And there's a guy with a big yellow blinking leg going blink, blink, blink. Oh, blending.
Don't mind me.
Right, you walk outside. Outside you can see that the town is lit in the sense of there's no central lighting area because that again doesn't happen. What you've got the houses nearby, there's lights inside the windows, but it's dark and it's lit by moonlight as the darkness has fallen. There is a sound of partying coming from the dark area. It's distinctive because it's quiet around here, but there's still fairly few people around here. There's a lot of guards, there's a lot of Unberogen warriors not touching any alcohol. They're all standing around the front. And they step aside, obviously, with respect. And the doors are left open to let fresh air in, and so people don't suffocate get overheated. But you can hear, and you can see by torches, that there's quite a lit area, two sections of the town very close to each other. The harbour leading into that area of being, which has got a glow about it from a lot of light, and you can hear laughter and merriment. You know that this is obviously a big time, and it's normally in a much smaller environment, but everybody kind of celebrates this period. But I wouldn't get into the Great Hall. The people that live here are celebrating it as a celebration itself. But they've gone to communal areas. Again, it's so different. There's three distinct places. Mm-hmm. You step around to the right. It's dark. Your footing is sure, and you move your way down.
Make sure I'm not followed.
You're not being followed, but the servants are moving to and from.
Right.
So you have to wait. And then given the right moment you slip in. You know that you haven't got that much time before they'll come in here and probably bring out some fresh, to take some food from it. So you quickly move to the back.
Hide the shield. Before I go in, I'll find somewhere to place my shield and spear so I can move in.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you move to that fake cladding area, you pull it to one side, you drop down, drag it in. It's pitch black. But lucky enough, you know that having been there in memory, there's nothing sticking out. It's just a clear, section of tunnel, almost the length of this, effectively. You crouch down, you move along, and you can hear the sound coming through the stones from the floor of the merrymaking from the main hall. As you work your way, feeling the ground, you get to the part that's timbered.
It's locked.
You put your back to it, you're thinking, I could slip a disc here. It's nowhere near as easy as you thought, but it's not immovable. But you have to do it very quietly. It does eat into your time, is because you're aware. On one side you're thinking, well, okay, is whatever's on here, it's going to be drowned out, any noises, but you don't want to just sort of like, hey, you know, 'cause you don't know what's up there. It could be
Fine glass.
I put all my crystal display, you know, fireworks. And you take your time, not 100% sure, but as you move it.
Slop bucket. It's actually just a big bucket of poo. Blish. Oh.
But yeah, with effort,
Right. As long as it can do it,
you can.
that's fine.
And it moves it does move the chest,
Right.
and it is literally it's just been dropped into this position. So you're literally lifting the chest and sort of angling it, you know, because we've all got one part stronger, and you angle it, and you can feel it go. And you're like, oh, okay, it's on a stone floor, and it rolls onto its front, and then you're like, okay, right. Click, and you just climb up into his room. It's got a single candle lit. The bed with hide, a table with ink and quill, and a bookshelf, and the casket, case,
Chest.
chest.
Xbox 360. Oh yeah.
The chest is on its front, and lucky enough the door's closed.
Right. I'll place the chest back in its position. So
Right, so you have to put you take the timber, the grate, put it down, and then roll that back.
roll it back on. So I can't slip straight under.
No.
No,
No,
it's
it's
fully,
blocked off.
fully
So the
blocked off.
chest, so basically this is a solid wooden platform
Oh, okay.
that you've lifted up, and he puts the chest on top of it to hide it.
Right. Okay.
So the chest is bigger than the platform.
Okay. So
You're not going to be able to get
I'm
down.
not going to be able to get down then.
Well, you can, but you can't make it look like. There'll just be a chest
But
to
either
one
way,
side.
I'm going to have difficulties because if I'm going in reverse, well, I won't be able to position it as I'm leaving. No. So
Because remember, it sits on
yeah.
the support.
Okay.
base.
Well, anyway, I'll put it in position.
What you could do, in fact, like I said, the chest is bigger than the hole,
Right.
but you can't. If you bring that down, you're not going to be able to bring the chest above it because it will be too heavy. The only way you're looking at it right now is you can put the chest over it, or sit in the hole and drag it, but the wooden frame is just, you can't get both together. So but either way, he's going to come back if it happens, and go to move his chest and realise, where's the platform gone?
I'll put it back. Exactly the way it was.
Okay. Yep.
Let's take that risk.
All right. So you put that back, put the chest back in place.
Yeah.
Yep.
I will search his quarters.
Yep.
Have a look at the bookshelf. Because unlike other VakTare, I am able to read.
You are.
So I will search the bookshelf if there's anything of note. Anything
Big spine. Plans to overthrow the Empire. 10 dark gods and their friends.
Dark God Worship 101. Right, okay, so you're looking through, you can see, okay, so the small parchments, you open them up and you look at it. This is a rare in itself. Somebody's writing something down. It's all in the same handwriting, his. You can see that each seem to be something of, you're not quite sure what you're reading. You understand the language, obviously.
Yeah.
But it seems that he's written down, or he's got bits of paper that say that he owns buildings, and that people seem to pay him. They give him coin.
Okay.
So it's effectively like me and you now reading a book on how to build a thermonuclear bomb, perhaps. You sort of look at it and go, well, I understand the words, but what? Deep scientific paper. You don't know what that, what? He, apparently, according to this, he actually physically owns one of the docks, and that he takes money, and there's numbers beside it, and he's got these parchments that show that there's names against it as well.
Any particular name that I can read?
They've all names.
Oh, there was
yeah,
random name. Okay.
Yeah. That's
Check.
on the shelves.
That's on the shelves. What else is in the room? He says a bed.
Yep, bed and the
Anything
chest.
in the bed? Anything?
No.
No, the classic.
You-
Under
you-
the mattress.
You feel something feels like a deep bowl of some kind. It's not.
No, don't do that.
Yeah, you feel a pan.
Right.
It's being used.
So if I take my time
Mhm.
to search it,
Being
nothing
used.
else,
He's left a used bedpan. That's not normal.
to search room for anything else that's out of the ordinary. If not,
Nope.
then
Nothing's actually out of the ordinary, technically, I suppose.
Yeah.
From a, but you've never been around a
No.
town, Zakonik. You know, for example, you've been in Ulmakor's tent, and he doesn't
Yeah.
have bookshelves
yeah.
and rolls, scrolls and stuff.
Mm.
In fact, it's just no. That in itself is just something. But you don't know if that's normal.
No. But I'm thinking I've been around long enough around.
They don't do much with
Ulmakor.
written word.
They don't do much written
No,
word.
because that would
so
that
this
would
is-
nail them into things that suddenly become
Fact.
yeah.
Yeah, well, that's not actually what I said. Oh, I remember that way. Let's look at the written word. You wrote it.
Yeah.
Well, that's your first mistake.
Exactly. Yeah.
Never write it down.
Right. Okay. Let's take it. It's like a no meaning.
So you take the okay, right.
Let's take it.
Yep. Stuff it in your breastplate.
Open the door. Slightly ajar. Listen out. Is it busy? Or does it
Yes,
open?
it opens up
It's
straight on the
open.
great hall.
It's great hall. Okay. No, but are people
There is a
walking?
slight dink incline.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got a couple of feet before it hits the main
Are people
hall.
facing?
No, no,
Because
nobody is.
I'm assuming they're all
Yeah.
attention.
But does the DS, presumably the raised area, does it look at these? It presumably has
It
command.
sees everything, yeah.
Yeah. So you coming out of his room, be like, hello.
But there are people standing there around the archway. It's, you know, it's possibly timing, perhaps, or something such. But just quickly, that was a bookshelf that you looked at, right?
Yes.
So you open the door. You're like, okay.
Okay. So the bookshelf.
So you looked under. So just to be clear, I want to.
Yeah.
So you looked on the
So
table.
I had
you
to
looked
look on the
under
table. I
bed.
looked on the bookshelf. I
and
mean,
you
I
looked
would
at the
look again to see drafts behind the bookshelf, anything untowards, no secret passageway
Yeah.
behind the bookshelf.
But
anything
you
like
put the
that.
chest back in its place.
Yes.
Okay.
But everything is
Yeah.
as a.
Yeah.
I intend to leave it as it
Yep.
as it was, and I'll wait for the right moment. You know, a chair or whatever, and perhaps wait till he's in the what's his face, Erstad. The Zakonik is making his announcement. Then I could slip up.
Or when he's gutting the,
You know, when he's gotten it.
yeah, when he's focused on something
Yep.
that can't be like.
Okay.
I'll just slide out, close the door, and enter the hall, slip into the crowd.
All right. Well, you wait until the
Slip into
crowd
the hole that the crowd leaves for you.
You run towards people to hide, and then they start running faster to get away.
This
Just lie down on the floor. Right, okay, so you wait until the crowd are called quiet, and Erstad steps down towards the main section of the hall where the main feasting pit is, and a servant girl has brought a tray with a rabbit upon it. The rabbit's already dead, and the tray is a brass effect, polished brightly. You see him appear in the crowd, completely unobserved, as Erstad's eyes are.
thinking, great, we've got to find out what was inside the chest. Brilliant.
Yep. So you.
I've got master. Fantastic. Brought me a scroll. Was that from the chest?
You would not believe what was in that chest.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Well, how many elephants?
So Erstad goes forward. You can see that he's greased and waxed hair, but he's made some markings on his forehead, more traditional of tattooing, but just to help through the fact that he's not bald, he's not shaved. So he's actually redone it with ink to make it stand out more.
Yeah, this guy's not Semlethai.
Not some of that material.
Yeah.
He steps forward, takes a curved, sharpened blade from his side. Everyone's quiet. He lowers the blade to the beast and guts it lengthways. Blood flows. A hushed silence deepens as the Zakonik head bow peers over the opened corpse, his fingers manipulating it, pulling out its entrails. It's done in such a way that the king, queen, specifically you because of your location, could see. You see his eyes widen. You see his mouth go. You can't help but cringe inside.
As the terrible display of,
Yeah.
like the worst hammery I've ever seen. Like, oh, come on.
The king, his voice growling bare like, "What do you see, Zakonik?" And the stat, "I see sadness, my king, loss. With the coming of childbirth, both mother and child will pass into the realm of More." A great moan seems to rise from the gathered guests. A sign of sympathy. The king and queen, you see, visibly pale. Fear specifically on both their faces. You know that Ulrich won't be happy. "But I see more, my king. Though it is the nature of Tal to give and take as he sees fit, his brother Ulrich is a furious god, a predatory manifestation of unbridled power. He expects strength, honour, ruthlessness, self-reliance," mumbles from the crowd. "Courage from his followers, and he's always angered by displays of weakness." He stands up, blood from the rabbit on his hands. He's always angered by weakness. Those who dare to show fear. "In the entrails I see a trip, my lord. My king, I see the hag woman of Brackenwalch. Ulrich tasks thee, my king, to prove yourself. The signs are clear. You and Queen Griselda must journey to the hag woman. You must go with only your bodyguard through the dark parts of the forest to the swamp of the Scriani and the Orc. Prove yourself before Ulrich, and your child will live. I see this, but fail, and your line will perish." The party atmosphere very quickly has
That's
at this point.
sort of burst that bubble.
There is only one way that I can see to appease Ulrich, but you must go on this journey. A great sacrifice of importance will calm his anger. There's a silence around the room, expectant. You wait for the punchline. Your journey will be successful. Cuts a piece of the rabbit away, tastes a little piece of the meat. You must sacrifice your once champion. And in doing so, Ulrich, though he will not promise, he will make it easier for you to see the Hag Queen, to save your queen and child. Most of the eyes go, and you see Alva stand there with a look of bugger.
Yeah. Oh.
He turns, steps towards towards his king and kneels. "So be it, my king." You see the queen. She's fearful, but there's a deep sadness lands upon her eyes when she looks upon Alva. Really sort of like,
Oh no.
the king must it be so? He is my friend, and that is why it must be the greatest sacrifice, my king. When? Before the new moon. It's effective, the moon has just passed about a few days back. Effectively, within the month.
Within the month, right? Okay. So good.
Also looking at how big she is, she's going to be birthing within the month.
Right. Yeah.
Effectively, you've got a few weeks.
Right.
Alva you must sacrifice, and you must be willing, Alva, for the king and his child and his line. Before you must head to Brackenwalch. Like I say, especially as a pregnant queen, you're going to be a card. Take about a week to get to where you believe the Hag Queen is. And apart from Godric, only one other person that's been there.
Who's about to get a haircut?
Yeah.
Right. Well,
You've got a couple. Basically, what you're saying is that you've got a couple of weeks before Alva will be sacrificed, and that'll be given about a week's time for the king to head to see the Hag Queen. Right. Alva must die, otherwise Ulrich, to appease Ulrich's fury.
Right. I'll stand at this point. Right.
And thank you very much.
Like.
Thank you very much. That is the week done.
Well, I've got a great idea, and I've forgotten about it next week. Got this idea how things could change. Anyways, I did have a great idea. Who knows if I'll remember it by next week? Yeah, I might write it down. Run. Run.
And so we've come to the end of this week's session. We have seen some changes. We've seen the Zakonik, whether through himself or through Ingvar. You can see Ingvar's plans here, killing Alvar weakens.
What did he say though? He said he had to be sacrificed. He didn't say kill him. My brain's working that way. I'm going. He said, "You must have a great sacrifice. You must sacrifice." Yeah, and that's where I'm going with that one. That's what I've written down. I've written it down because next week.
So you sacrifice your
Yeah.
once great champion.
Yeah, sacrifice. Yeah, what does sacrifice mean? Aha! And who knows? Once the Soviet stands up and tells you what sacrifice means, that'll be all for next week. I've got some plans. Who knows? Next week I might. Maybe next week I don't like Elvar. Maybe he's like, yeah, kill him now. It needs to be quicker. We can't wait a month.
Yeah. So So that's us in the main hall. We have the bad news.
I can't wait to find out what was in that chest. That's probably going to be what saves him.
What happened with the chest situation?
I don't know. Go and find out. The one thing I said
thought
was,
it was clear when the whole point was me going in and going.
And I
this
said-
is probably the chest, and you said, "Oh yeah, that's gonna. Yeah, we know what the chest is now."
No.
Why do you want to look inside it? Now?
knew that the chest. Knew that the
Why do
chest.
you want to look inside
His
it?
actual argument's perfect. Why would I want to look inside it?
So what do I want to do? Get in there and see what's inside that chest. Oh, that's probably the chest on top of the thing. Boom. Yeah, well, that's right.
Nothing here.
Meanwhile, the Ring of Power rolls back in again. Who would have known what's inside the chest? Wait a minute, I'm just the pretty god. I don't get it.
What's actually perfect, what our link's perfect, is someone going into massive detail, and Caradak going, I've got it.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Come on.
Oh,
This is not my first rodeo. I've done this before.
Do you know the thing is, right?
Well,
I've just clicked what's just happened. Honestly, I didn't look inside the chest.
No.
That's all.
I should say Caradak didn't look at things.
Well, yeah, Caradak. No. I was assuming. That's what I was trying to. I thought it was me. I thought the chest was open. Imagine, you open the chest.
You thought you climbed out through
I
the
thought I
chest,
climbed out through the chest.
even though it rolled off.
And then you
Yeah,
rolled it
just-
back.
And then you rolled it back into
I thought
place.
that was just a frame that just like. Oh no.
And then I went, so, just to go
Just-
over exactly
just-
what's happened, you've done this, you happy with that? Yep. Okay.
Absolutely. It's now back in place. No one will know it's ever been looked into because it hasn't been.
I remember this. Yeah. Now I recall you doing that as well. I recall you. So where'd you look? Just looking at the mattress, looking at the rug. Where else you want me to look, man?
Could you
What's
look
wrong
at?
with you?
What's yeah?
Don't look at the big glowing chest.
Don't worry. I've got it.
Blah, 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 blah.
Hey, calm
Don't worry,
down.
I've got it.
It's not my first rodeo, you know. I've done this
I know.
before.
Look at
Come
this,
on.
man.
These
It's all
75.
sorted.
They know nothing. Can't wait for that conversation. So, what was in the chest? Well,
What chest?
yeah.
Don't lie. Nothing.
All
A
right.
month later.
Yeah.
Oh, that was in the chest. Well, it wasn't there when I looked.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Oh,
he
turn.
technically doesn't know whether I've seen it or not.
It's not technical at all. He
No,
doesn't
he-
know.
you
I don't know.
You don't
So you're going to start lying to me? Oh, great. Yeah.
So,
What,
yeah.
Rise of Empire? Fall of a.
Look,
It's not Rise of an
what
Empire.
happened in Erstad's room stays in Erstad's room.
Clearly,
Yeah.
nothing happened in Erstad's room.
Look what I've got. Yes, he owns a brothel.
Fantastic. He has a ship.
I just
Your
clicked
whole
there.
time to shine.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's not you. It's Caradak.
Yeah.
No, it's me.
It's the script.
That's
Yeah.
Damn you.
Yeah. It's well done. Yeah.
It
Came
looks
out,
like
and I'm
they
like,
want Caradak to be a right fool.
I can't even
Get
go
in.
back. I'm just gonna go back and check the.
there was something else I didn't check. What, the
Yeah.
first time when you thoroughly checked it? Either way, it's like I didn't do it properly, or I just didn't do it. Either way, you're going to look. Either way, you're going to be.
Yeah, so Caradak said that it'll be interesting if Caradak goes, there was nothing in it.
I'm like, oh, what?
You know, because I was like, shit.
And it's like, oh, it's going to make it even harder now to work out. So there's nothing in the shelf.
I found this on a shelf.
This is the new clue. Then we'll follow this.
Yeah, you're going to investigate the harbour and those buildings for a month. And at the end, sorry, we just couldn't save it, Alva.
Yeah,
so nothing to
sorry,
overthrow the
where's
Zakonik.
Oliver? He's in bits in the side there. Oh. Wow, this is really hard. This is a really hard adventure to try and crack. If only was some clue.
Or do you go truthful? I'm waiting to see what Caradak's
At the end of 5 years of physical time, now of role playing, we get. You mean it was all from the chest? But you didn't look at the chest. I did look at the chest. You said you looked at the chest.
It's the break. That's what happens.
Yeah. Anyways,
Luther Holt says that proofreading the sacrificed rabbit should be done.
proofreading it. Oh, a second opinion.
It's a great idea.
It is a good. It was part of what I'm going to be doing, but it's not going to be like. Wait a second,
Stand
you've read
aside.
that liver's been read. Oh, it's a classic schoolboy error.
seen all these grammatical errors?
If you look at the sinews at the side there, that's actually an F.
So it's a good point, obviously, because we all know what. Well, I think we all know what Ulmakor thinks of reading the entrails of a rabbit does.
Yeah, well, it's just a chance for him to sell the story that the Ingvar said. My break into this is literally
You're more powerful.
Yeah, and I will read it again, and that's why I'm looking at this, because I can't turn around and say, oh, I didn't say sacrifice. It said give him a few beers. Oh, you got that wrong, because I don't want to make. I can't make Semnathai. Semnathai can't be wrong.
Yeah, so even though you want this guy to come to a sticky end,
but he can't
do it.
He can't be wrong, but he can be. Yes, sacrifice, and the sacrifice is that Alvar needs. He needs to go beyond, and he needs to never come back. That's his sacrifice. It can't be he's dead, because he never said kill him. He just said he has to be sacrificed. That's the sacrifice. And I just was looking at a way of interjecting that. And actually, to be fair, that's how I was going to do it. Is go and say, this is portent news, and but did you see? And of course, he's not going to say, I can't say that because I'm a Soviet. That's right, it does say that. So he's on a hiding to nothing. But I'm just trying to think of a way of getting in that sacrifice means, what does sacrifice means?
So that Ulmakor will go out on a limb for Alvar as well, mate.
Well, I think given the fact that Tal has given some fairly straight direction on what could go on, I need to be in control. And I don't like what I'm seeing with Ørsted. Whatever he's doing, I just don't want him to... I don't think he's in tune with the gods as much as I'm in tune with the gods.
Well, it's given.
And so I don't know what he's playing, but I don't know how that fits in with disrupting, because ultimately, if he's working on what Ingvar says, it's a way of disrupting the burgeoning statesman-like of Bjorn. I don't know how sacrificing his old chief, his old warrior is going to help at this stage. Also, I'm going to need him, because if I'm going to go, I want to be in control, is basically at this stage.
Well, the thing is, from your point of view, and from yours, I suppose, the other thing to look at Alvar is, even though Alvar is retired as the champion, unlike the Semnathai, where they don't go, right, you're retired, let's put him on the heap and turn him into glue, he's allowed to retire. He's survived. He's been fighting, 40 years? There's pretty much a guarantee that, even though Bjorn is the king, and by strength and power and wisdom, Alvar was his champion, and nearly everybody in here has fought Alvar. He's been in charge of his armies, that sort of thing. He's a mark of respect in himself. Perhaps he lends strength to Bjorn's.
It could be. I mean, I'm not.
Or maybe he can send him off because he speak in the on behalf of Bjorn, and people respect who Alvar is. So it is that.
It could be a good way.
Is this his friend?
It could be a good way of destabilising him. I'm not saying it's not, but I need to know before, because I'm not entirely sure that I know. It's not a personal thing about, Alvar was there pretty much at my birth or anything like that. It was more, no, I want to know. I don't trust any Semnathai, but I particularly don't trust this one because I don't know that he's told me everything I need to know. And once I find out what's in that, once I know what's in the chest,
you know what's in that parchment.
Yeah. It was apparently a parchment. This is and I'll spend the next 6 years trying to decipher 27 barrels of fish. It looks like I'm looking at his EBITDA and his earnings before tax and amortization. He's actually got quite a good successful business going on. Dun dun! Rise of an empire. Microsoft.
Rise of an empire. Oh, the Zakonik's empire. It's Ørsted empire.
It's
a merchant empire.
Rise of the empire. A whole series of commerce. Yeah. Anyway,
I'm sure that was a Feist, Jimmy the Hand, wasn't it?
Jimmy
that had nothing to do with the wars, the Rift Wars.
We'll just spend the entire time going through
Rise of a criminal empire.
Just intricate ways of doing double entry bookkeeping.
He's good, him.
It's another level of. Hey, look at it in terms of fantasy campaigning. This is something no one's ever. Everyone's fighting demons and killing them. But has anyone looked at double entry bookkeeping? And maybe it's just the sense of accountancy compliance. A new level.
There was a need because there is no taxman because there's no empire.
Wow!
But if there was an empire, he'll be ahead of the curve.
All your fault. All your fault.
But it from my point of from the way that this is developing, obviously next week will be a clear line in the sand that not only is the Semnathai making its power play, keeping its people. You've the Ulmakor and Caradak have seen some changes here, but they themselves are actually actively going to be making decisions on their own based on what's going on around them. Ulmakor deciding to effectively save. It appears though he's an aha, and he stood up. He stands up, and that's obviously when the episode ended.
Yeah.
There's obviously, people are going to go, oh, what's he going to say? And of course, you've got Caradak's, I'm a great warrior, but I'm not very good as far as Renal's concerned at the sneaky bit, because I got distracted, forgot what I was doing, and I've come up with some toilet roll.
And now he's in a position of...
As a fantastic god,
Yeah.
but when I told her to go save the child,
Yeah.
it didn't go quite as planned.
Came back with the child in bits. There you go. Right. Got it.
We all have our skills, and Caradak's sneaky is...
he's very good at sneaky. It's memory,
What
yeah.
The one
Honestly, if anybody watches this, right, and is in the same boat as me and thinks I came through it, right? I came through.
Just go back to that part of the recording where I was dismissed. I've got this. Come on.
Yeah, but I thought I came through the...
Hey, old man, shut up. I know what I'm doing.
And I thought I came through the...
Luther, were you here for the bit when
shut up.
when Caradak
Luther, you
snuck
better
into
be on my
the
side.
side room? Do you think he was sneaking out through the chest, or do you think he rolled the chest off? Yes, classic. Oh, shiny. Apparently, I think he's going along the lines of you were distracted.
Yeah.
Ooh, shiny.
With what, parchment?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have no idea what's important here. There's a bit of paper there. He
Must
said
be,
there's paper.
must be that. That'll be it. I've got it now. Great.
So your thievery career is off to a good start.
Yeah.
Look what I've got.
Yeah.
Deeds.
Fantastic. Had to get rid of all that gold off the top of it. Get in the way.
Demon dust.
Well, it wasn't
sacrifice.
until after the session ended that the penny dropped and I didn't realise what it did.
After the penny dropped.
I genuinely thought that I had came through the frickin'...
Yeah.
that's what I thought.
You rocked it. It was perfect.
Yeah.
Well, our viewer believes that you were blinded by the obvious.
Yeah.
And I put it
I
back.
climbed out through a chest, didn't I? Who climbs out through a chest?
No, I thought that's what...
That you rolled out the way
As you push forward, you feel it slide, it hits the floor.
and rolls.
You roll it onto its front. You climb out, you put it back, you see it's on its front, you roll it back into place. Yes, I do.
Put it back.
Perfect.
The fact that I took
No
the
one-
effort.
You apparently climbed out of it.
All the effort that was there to make sure that no one's touched this was very good because no one did touch it.
He's got to be fooled. He will walk in and go, how the hell is that bit of paper gone off my
Yeah,
bookshelf?
he'll be
That
going
one
for
piece
it.
of paper.
Someone stole last year's accounts. Oh no! What am I going to say to the taxman who doesn't exist? When he is, I won't be able to show last year's tax returns. Oh no!
Oh, no. It's because I took the effort to actually put it back in its place.
Yeah, before
And then
actually. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, just oil the lock.
I think that's all right.
Looks perfect. Just get.
I'll go on there and inspect the bookshelf. I'll go and inspect the bookshelf, yeah.
You played with his filled tray longer.
Made his bed, fluffed his pillows.
He walks in,
Wow!
dusted,
Someone's been here and
cleaned.
taken my. Oh no! Right. Anyways,
Well, next week we'll see the continuation on will Alvar be sacrificed. Obviously, the one thing that is quite hard to hear, of course, is that Griselda and Unborn, according to Tal, will not survive the birth, and Ulrich was immediately angered by the king's show of fear at being told that his wife and child wouldn't survive, and therefore Alva, as a result, has to be sacrificed for that. He must head to the Brackenwalch and meet with the hag woman, the hag mother, and we of course know that, King Drago's Bjorn's father, Drago, pushed the flesh-eating cannibals into that area, and they haven't been seen since. It's a bit of a sending the Bjorn dynasty into the through a threatened area, orc beastmen into a place that is known to be dark. But will Alvar survive?
to be fair, that's plays exactly well. It's very similar to it would ring kudos for Ørsted in the Ingvar's eyes, because get rid of this pesky king that's causing problems.
And he's number two.
And he's number two in one fell swoop. So in terms of that seems like it's a good idea.
From a 75
From a
point of view,
75
it's
point of view,
pretty-
I just don't understand where this is coming. As a 75, I don't have a problem with that. I just have a problem with Ørsted. There's something not right. Can't wait to find out what's in that chest.
Got anything for us, Luther? Any questions apart from joining us in taunting Caradak? I'll wait for a couple of moments, just in case you have
We're not taunting Caradak now, we're just taunting Talbot. I think it's it's got nothing to do with Caradak. It's all down to Talbot.
Talbot did it.
Yeah, it was him.
Whoopsies.
Right, first of all, he has a bit of paper and he's left pee and poo under his table.
Yeah.
You won't suspect a thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't worry, I'll put it back.
But he's pee and poo.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to spend months
After tasting it.
Yeah, I'm going to spend months going on. I've got this. And what's the name of this part? It's called Wild Goose Chase. Oh, okay. Must be some name of some sort of inn. The Wild
It's
Goose
going to be the
Chase.
post-credit thing, isn't it? Where no one actually ever gets to find out what's in it.
And then that's why the world explodes and 4,000 years later.
After the credits are over, and it's like finally somebody opens it and goes,
No way!
It's just a ring of power in there. And an eagle
Reset
feather.
button.
An eagle feather. Oh, wait a minute. We can just fly over Mount Doom.
Luther believes that Talbot should be the next sacrifice. Not Caradak.
Not Caradak. Talbot.
Kill him.
Just.
Okay.
You mean one of the characters?
"Oh,
No,
it's
not the
taking
character
role-playing
at
to a
all.
whole new level."
LARPing.
It's going to hurt you more than it's going to hurt me.
Boots of speed. Well, thanks very much for staying with us for another week. Any comments, please feel free to add them to the video. Also, check our Twitter site as well. Send any comments you've got over that. We'll obviously respond to and every one of them.
Feel free to give Talbot a hard time on Twitter.
In the name of Caradak.
He deserves it.
Keep an eye on my vlog. Something
Yeah.
I'll probably be bringing up.
Yeah.
Well, and hopefully we'll get some vlogs up and running as well. We say this every week, and we'll continue to do it until one day we do.
And that'll be watch out for the rapture. That could be the end of the world.
Whoa! 3 vlogs. Poof, internet's gone off.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. Talk to you during the week. Hopefully, like I say, any comments, please leave them on the video or on our Twitter account or individual. And we'll see you next Sunday. You can see on the site where countdown is already live, showing next Sunday, and hopefully we'll be ready for 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
But thanks very much, and have a great week.
Please,
Thank you.